Hey everyone, guess what? We do not have ugly swag. We have spaced out radio gear that you're going to want to wear. Why? Because no one wants to wear ugly clothing. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com and go shopping today. You'll be glad you did. And it's a great way to support our show. Once you get your gear, send us a picture of you rocking out in your SOR swag. spacedoutradio.com. Shop there today. And make yourself look good. Welcome, everybody, to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. It's going to be a fantastic show here tonight. We are going to be joined by Krista and Brandi of Blondes and Boos. We're going to be getting into some paranormal talk, some anomalous conversation, and a lot more. Don't you guys go anywhere here tonight as we go ahead and jump in the chat, see who's coming on in first. Looks like we have Kitty Catty Whack with the gold tonight, courtesy of Race Fan. We got Mel WD40 with the silver, and we have Gory Tiger with the bronze. And we'll give Race Fan fourth place. That's what we'll do tonight. And let's see who else has come on in here. Appreciate you guys coming in bright and early, just so you know. We got who else? Who's out here? T-Bone talking about hello MRG. What's going on, T-Bone? Nice to see you. Appreciate you coming on in here tonight. Erica Stover, new member. Thanks for joining the membership here at Spaced Out Radio. Appreciate you showing on up here as well tonight. We got BMR, Bigfoot, Michigan, Rob in the building. Hey, BMR, thanks for coming on in, sir. Appreciate you showing up to the show tonight. We got Cosmic Joe Chronicles. Hey there, Rob G. Appreciate you coming on in, sir. Let's keep going. Road Flare. Hey, Road Flare, thanks for coming on in. Thanks for showing up tonight. Bim Jim, hey, appreciate you coming in. We got Eternity Eternal. I see you out there. Thanks for showing up here tonight. We have, who else do we have? The Jaquetta. Thanks for coming on in. Appreciate you showing up to the show here tonight. We also have Michelle Wilfong. Hey, Michelle, thanks for showing up. Appreciate you coming on in. Frankie B, good evening, people. Thanks for coming in. Also, Matt Goodgut, thanks for showing up here. Gizmo, I see you out there. Thanks for coming in. Delilah, it's real. It is real. The phenomenon is real. Super Crazy Movie Geek, appreciate you showing on up tonight. Turn that frown upside down, Mel WD40. No reason to be angry here tonight. We're going to have a great time right here on Spaced Out Radio. We got Josephus Comedy. Thanks for coming on in. Appreciate you showing on up here tonight. And let's see. Polly Rotterman, I see you out there. Jordan Cogburn. And I will make sure that I get to everybody else on the next break. Scott Rosen, I see you out there. Thanks for showing on up here tonight. and Lars Jansen. Actually, I think we're caught up. Yeah, we are. Lars Jansen, Bob Thorson. Bob Thorson, thank you for coming on in. No, didn't get the eyes fixed. Thanks for asking. I left my glasses at home, so it's going to be a really hard time reading the chat tonight. So put the questions in extra caps here tonight. Let's start the podcast side of this here. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. Tonight's going to be a fantastic night. We have Krista and Brandi from Boos and Boos joining us talking paranormal for hours 1 and 2. I believe we'll have Christian McLeod jumping in for hour 3 and Steve Stockton tells and told Mr. Person Mysteries. Guys, let's get ready to go. Greetings, space travelers. Welcome home. You just tuned your dial to Spaced Out Radio, the only place where you can own the night. I'm your host, Mr. Rob G. And tonight, we're broadcasting on our terrestrial affiliates across North America, plus digitally on digital platforms all around the world. Don't forget, you can access the archives. They're absolutely free. YouTube.com/@SpacedOutRadio. And while you're there, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to follow us on X and Instagram at Spaced Out Radio and at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is still and always spacedoutradio.com, where the options are endless. You can stay up to date with the SR Newswire. You can get yourself some official Spaced Out swag. Plus, rock out to the man you hear right there, Mr. Ron Bummerfithal, and oh, so much more. It's going to be a fantastic show here tonight. Once again, we have Krista and Brandi joining us from Boos and Boos. And guess what? We're not going to waste any time. We're getting ready to jump directly into the show immediately and bring up our guests here for the night. We have Krista and Brandi. Hello. Hi.
Hi there.
Good to see everybody.
Yes. You know, this filling in for Dave Scott here tonight. This is the first. I don't think I've ever interviewed you guys before, so it's definitely an honor having you guys here tonight. Having this opportunity. I was checking out your podcast a little earlier tonight, your live streams you guys did. So, okay, awesome stuff. You had BMR on there, which is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What I like to do, the way, first time meeting always, we want to get to know where everybody came from. How'd you get to this point? Why Boos and Boos? Why take that turn? Let's talk about it tonight. Either one of you can start first.
Okay. Brandi, go ahead.
Well, the paranormal has been part of my life since I was very young, as long as I can remember. It has been something that is very natural in my family. So we've always been able to see apparitions, ghosts, always hear disembodied voices, things like that. So growing up in my family was kind of easy when you can see these things. My mother made it very easy. She just always would say, hey, sometimes those things happen. And it was just a normal, everyday type of thing. And it's been something that's been with me my whole entire life. And then, of course, I met Krista and we became fast friends. And I'm going to let her continue on with that story.
Yeah. So my paranormal journey started many years ago when I was a kid, and I was actually in high school. I've told the story many times, but I actually seen a ghost, and I know now it was a ghost because I was with a friend and nobody else saw it. And so that's, pretty much how I started into this. And as Brandi, my grandma was into Reiki and, things like that. So just kind of, a natural thing too, as Brandi. And then as far as Boos and Boos, it just started actually, me and another friend, Erin, COVID hit and we like to talk weird stuff. So she's like, well, hey, let's start a podcast. I'm like, okay. And so we did it for a little bit, the two of us. And then, we brought Brandi into the mix. And then since then, Erin's went on to bigger and better things and which is cool. And it's all good. So here we are. And it's just been Brandi and I now.
Mm-hmm.
That is awesome. And, it's unique to hear two people in the same field, especially this field, that have, had support as far as experiences go, from like your parents, things like that. There's usually a stigma there. you don't bring it up to your parents. But growing up in a family like you both did, how were the conversations at the dinner table? Is this something openly talked about, or is it just that it was accepted?
So for me, more so, it was accepted with my grandma, but not like my mom or the rest of my family. Actually, when my grandma passed away in 2012, she had a bunch of crystals and things like that. And my brother, his words were, "Do you want Granny's rocks?" So they're not, well, they are now more so because they know I do this, but, they weren't as open to it. So for me, that's how it was. But, my grandma, I could talk about it because, if I had a headache or something, she would always be touching me as a kid, touch my head or, and I was like, what are you doing? And I didn't know a lot about all of that, and as a kid, you just want to be left alone. Like, what the heck is she doing? Well, I know now what she was doing, now I appreciate it. But back then, it was like, what are you doing, Granny? So that's how it, kind of evolved for me. But with my grandma, it was good to talk about with. And then now, like my own children, they're open to it and they believe in it and, know what I do and all that good stuff. So.
How about you, Brandi? How was your family growing up with this phenomena?
Well, it was talked about openly, but it was just like another thing to talk about. Yeah, it was just like, oh, I saw this today, or da da da, or do you know who this person could be, or what something I heard, or something that was said, or we just talk about things like that. It was very, very simple, very easy. We didn't have any issues talking about it. It was just normal. It was just like a normal conversation, like we would talking about what happened in school that day. It's just very simple and very normal. She did try to, make sure that I felt good about myself, that I didn't feel different from the other kids or anything like that. And my mom's still one of our biggest supporters today. I mean, she watches Blondes and Boos faithfully every episode. And if she's awake now, she's probably watching this right now.
That is awesome. I yearn for the day that my mother tunes into my programming every night. She's open, but she's not there yet, right? Yeah. So yeah, I hope this year she'll become a fan. I mean, she understands what's going on. She knows there's something weird going on out there. For you both, going to school, obviously, if you're dealing with this so young, you go to school. Are your friends aware of what you're into? Are they into it too? Or is this something that ever came up?
So back then, no, because I didn't even realize when I saw the ghost that it was a ghost back then. However, now, since then, everybody knows what I do now. And I mean, and I've reconnected with a lot of people that I did go to high school with. And a lot of them have come forward and told me, like their encounters. One friend had a dogman encounter. Another friend had an encounter with a puck wedgie, so it's like they come forward now that they know what I do and talk about the dead. And we've had several, come to some of our events and things like that. So, yeah.
What is your outlook on the phenomena? What do you think is really going on here if you look 30,000 foot view? Well, I guess before you answer that question, a lot of people feel like, and I might get myself included, that the phenomena is the umbrella and then everything else falls beneath it. I think it's all interconnected in some way that we just don't know yet. Sure. What is your outlook on the phenomena? How would you explain it to someone who doesn't know what this is?
Yeah, it's called paranormal for a reason. And all of it. I believe, that the ghost side of things, the cryptid side of things, the UFO, alien type stuff, it's all connected somehow. We just haven't figured it out yet, so that's why we come on and, we do our shows and learn from others and, and that's what we do. Hopefully we can all have that answer one day.
Yeah. How about you, Brandi?
Oh, I'm pretty much the same way. I mean, that's why Krista and I get along so well. Is we have a lot of the same ways of thinking, which makes even discussions. Like I could call her up and say, "Hey, you know what happened today?" And I will tell her about something, and she'll be like, "Really, that happened today?" And then we'll start talking about these issues. So I mean, it's always good to have that friend. During school, I didn't really talk about it. So none of my friends really talked about it. So I didn't have that problem. But looking at it now, I've been doing this for years and years, investigating and looking for answers and things like that. I find a lot of evidence, but I'm finding no answers. So, I mean, to me, it's still all unexplained, and I'm still just as confused as ever how this is actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
What part of the phenomena do you focus mostly on? Because I know you guys dibble in all of it, but what do you focus mostly on?
I would say, for me personally, it was ghosts for many years. That was my go-to. However, in the last 5 years, I've really gotten into the cryptids, and I don't know, there's something about like dogman that I'm really attracted to. So I honestly, to this point, I mean, I love ghosts. I love haunted locations. I love the history. However, I would rather go to the woods.
Myself. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I see that we are drawn to cryptids, but we're finding out that as we're out in the woods and as we're, investigating and all that kind of stuff, we are seeing spirits. We are getting, all kinds of different things that you wouldn't think would be associated with the woods. EVPs and the equipments that would normally be used in a haunted location, we're taking out in the field with us now, because that is also helping us locate some stuff. It's just amazing how we're finding how this is really connected. Yeah. And we're trying to figure out how.
Yeah.
So when we talk about those that have passed on, and this is something I always bring up, we'll talk to paranormal investigators. What is the veil to you? Like, if you were to describe the veil, because I feel like these, and I've had experience with the shadow person myself, so which I consider sort of paranormal, but it's almost like, for me, we're peeking through the veil into, I guess, another realm where these things might be, or this is the question that I have: is it that they exist here in this realm with us? We just we're not always able to tune in to these things. Like, which way would you go with that?
Me personally, I kind of think like, some creatures, some like ghosts, some things are in another world, but I feel like it's close to us though. It's right here. And I feel like a lot of them can come in and out, like through portals and things like that to, come here to this area. So for me, I would say that it's all definitely connected, and, it's just, like the orbs, things like that. For a long time, I had associated orbs only with the paranormal, with ghosts, because that's the only time I saw with my eyes, I saw orbs. And well, then I'm out in the middle of the land between the lakes with Brandi and other people, and we're seeing these orbs out in the middle of the woods in the middle of winter, and there was nobody out there. So, it's all connected. We just haven't figured out how yet.
I want to say that the veil to me is just more like a doorway between our world and what lies beyond. Yeah. And I think that sometimes, we can open doorways and let things in. And then I believe that other times that some spirits have the ability to kind of, dance back and forth. I've noticed that a lot, especially when we're hearing encounter stories of ghosts and loved ones, that your loved ones that have now passed, and how they'll come and they'll visit, but then they're gone. They may not ever see or hear from them at all after they've gone, through the veil. I think a lot of it is today that the veil is thinning. And I believe it's because of the awareness of a lot of people now. It is not as taboo to talk about ghosts and seeing apparitions and these things. And I believe the more that we bring this out into the open, the thinner this veil is going to get. Again, it's all comes down to investigations and trying to figure out how and why these things. It is such a mystery. I guess that's why it keeps us going. Yeah. They're not only to help people I guess, deal with these things, especially since COVID. COVID was a really weird time where people were at home and they were noticing more things going on in their home than they had ever noticed before because they were there more often. They paid more attention. And since then, there have been a lot more reports of that. So they want to say the veil's thinning because of that. I don't think so. I think it's been thinning. It's just now we're realizing that it's doing that, and more people are seeing it because more people are at home. They're doing that. They work from home and all kinds of stuff still. And I'm super excited for them. I'm like, now you're seeing what I'm seeing, so I'm excited,
Yeah.
And I love hearing all the stories about it. It just fascinates me.
The awareness piece that means a lot, and it would totally explain why the perception is the veil is thinning, because people are just waking up, becoming more aware. That makes total sense. Now, one of the questions that I always have as well, and I just want to hear your perspectives on this, is that realm, right? So we're dealing in. I'll go back to my shadow person. It was initially for me considered to be paranormal. I have all these different weird things happening, but then I listened to someone talk after about a year, and they described shadow people potentially as maybe being cloaked extraterrestrials, or even as far as not just spirits, but extraterrestrials, or even astral travelers. That's what I want to say. So that realm. So I'm wondering, like, what is your perspective on what that realm is? Is it just that paranormal exists there, or is it possible that all these things that we're dealing with exist there in this other realm?
I personally think all of it is possible. All of it.
Yeah, I that's a tough question. I mean, that is a really, really tough question. Because people always think that aliens come from outer space. I'm not so sold on that.
Right.
I think that they are actually living here on Earth, and they could be perhaps under our oceans. I mean, we haven't even explored a big percentage of that at all. So I believe some are here and have always been here. As for what I think the veil is, my gosh, that is tough. That is tough. I do believe it is just the wall that just divides us, and it's kind of like being in like a hotel room and the walls are paper thin. You can hear everything that's going on over there, and what's going on over there. The only thing is you just can't see it. But you open up that connecting door, you can put all of it together. You can see what they're doing. You can hear what they're doing, all of that. So it's just a matter of, being able to get through that door. And like I said, I think everything is just thinning out. I really, really do. Just like we talked about, the pure awareness of everybody. And they're finally going, hey, these people aren't crazy now. Now I'm seeing this stuff, and they're understanding that there is more to it after we pass. There is an afterlife. There are things that do go on after this, and that's why we're still investigating, is to figure out, why do they still want to be here? Why are they still? It's kind of like they're stuck. Is this what we would call purgatory? Is this is this just another place to be? Is this just another stop on their way to wherever they're going for their higher power? Which that's all based on your religious views and all of that. And hey, I'm here for all of it. I don't care what religious background you have. I want to hear about it.
Yeah, that purgatory piece, that's something I thought about too. I brought this up to someone in an interview one time, and I want to see what your perspective is on this. That purgatory piece, because I'm thinking, you have a lot of, I guess, residual spirit energies that I guess connect to certain locations, or even certain physical things, personal items. So, it was for me. I'm like, okay, how long does a spirit sit there and remain accessible to this realm or to this world before they move on? Or is it somewhere where they never move on from that middle point? And I kind of describe it like, maybe being on the edge of the pool, right? So you kind of cling to the edge of the pool because you're too afraid to kind of swim out there into the deep end, but then eventually you do, right? So is that maybe something that's happening here with these spirits, where they are just afraid to kind of move on and see what that is out there, or what their ultimate destination is?
I think for some of them, myself, I think so. I think spirits are here for all different reasons. Maybe some are stuck in, what's called purgatory. I don't know. But I think, anything can cause really a spirit to stay here, be it an attachment to an item or a house or a location or, whatever. So whatever is keeping them here, maybe they, died suddenly and don't even know that they're dead. That could be it too, so I think purgatory, maybe some of them are scared to cross over too, maybe because they don't know what's on the other side. Maybe they weren't so good in life, so maybe they are scared to cross over. I don't know.
Well, I kind of have the theory that once we pass, time becomes irrelevant. We have no idea what time is anymore. So, I mean, what would seem like a decade for us could be a minute for anybody that's already passed and on the other side. They have no idea, because time is a human thing here on Earth. We all do everything by time. I think once that, shackle is released, everything is different.
Yeah.
So, and I do believe that we are tied down by time, that we have to be to work on time. We have to get the kids to school on time. We have to do everything on time. We have to be here on the show. We have to be there on time. But after that, after we pass, we are just who we are. Now, I think once you get past that veil, I don't know. And it'd be interesting one day to know, but I don't know how long that they would stay there, if there is even a set time limit, or if it is when they get over their grievances, or they're ready to go. Because I believe that some are basically tied to us as as humans, because they still want to believe they're alive. Mm-hmm. They want to still have that feeling that they're a part of this society, and they just are not quite ready to go. But there are many reasons I think that ghosts are here, and part is the purgatory, or the in between is a good way to put it. The in between,
sure.
Or maybe the higher power thinks, hey, you're just not ready yet. We're gonna let you wait a little bit, let you think about it, and we'll come back to you. So I mean, it'll be interesting one day to find out, and we're all gonna find out. Our day will come, and we'll all find out, and then we're gonna be like, aha, now I know.
Yeah, definitely. And I always bring this up as well. There's a movie, Flatliners, that where you're kind of dipping your toe into what that realm is, but then also able to come back and tell the story. We're going to be going to break here in about 20 seconds here, and I guess we'll pick that right back up on the other side of the break. So, guys, definitely, I'm blind as a bat tonight out here, so help me out. Make sure you put all your questions in capital letters for me so I can tag those, and we'll be back right after the break with Krista and Brandi from Blondes and Boos, right here on Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show. See you guys back here in a few minutes, 5 minutes. All right, we are clear. We are clear. And ladies, we have 5 minutes here. If you needed to do anything, this would be the time. But Next break in 30 minutes will be off camera as well, just so you know.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds good.
All
Thanks.
right. And I have a few people that snuck in here late, so let me make sure we say hello to these people, like Kevin Kennedy, TMI. Appreciate you coming on in, even if it is late. I'm glad you're here. Randy, Victoria Alexander, Krista and Brandi are awesome. Nice. I'm finding that out. Appreciate you coming on in tonight as well. Woo Writers DG. Appreciate you showing up here tonight. Benno. Hey, Benno. Appreciate you coming in. Let's see. Who else do we have? Carrie Doyle. Appreciate you coming in, Carrie. Moving back here. Jerry Carter. Hey, Jerry Carter. Time is on our side. Got it. Appreciate the comment. Thanks for coming in as well. We have Country Carpenter. Hey, Country Carpenter. Thanks for coming in. You said free will ? If you get more specific on what part of the conversation you're referring to, I'll save that question. Let's see. T-Bone, thanks for the awesome super chat here tonight. Thanks for your support of Spaced Out Radio. We surely do appreciate that. You as well, Carrie Doyle. What exactly are you seeing? In reference to what part of the convo, if you could elaborate a little bit on that question, repost it, and I will tag it. Appreciate you. Aussie Boss Tiger, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate you showing up. Let's see, FAP. Hey, FAP. Saying Bigfoot avoids Dave's at night. He breaks wind and the forest goes quiet for 2 days. I could see that. I talked to Dave right before the show. They were getting ready to go have some fun tonight and go out into the woods tomorrow. So it should be awesome. Lee Strauss is out there with them. I did talk to Lee as well. And Merle is there as well. And Merle said you guys would be awesome, and you guys are definitely awesome so far here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank
Last
you.
Light. Appreciate you coming in. Let's see. Standing Stone 1776. Appreciate you showing on up. Yeah, Mr. Rob. Oh no. Let's see. What is he? Rue Riders, what Rob Jeezy didn't tell anyone is these glasses can see aliens masquerading as humans. He knew who the NHI cloaking themselves were the whole time. I wish, DG, I wish my glasses were that magical, but they are magical because they allow me to just see words, and that's a big thing when trying to navigate this world, especially doing this show with this chat.
Mm-hmm.
I can kick myself for not bringing my glasses, but yeah.
I'm naked without mine. I feel lost without it.
Oh my gosh. I'm sitting here. I've never done it. And I'm just like sitting here. I don't want to squint too hard because then that looks crazy. But yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. Getting old, right? And I have astigmatism too. So I don't even think LASIK can correct it. So
Gotcha.
I'm stuck with frames on my face forever.
Yep, I hear you.
Well, I had LASIK done a long time ago, and it did fix that. So you might want to look into it.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely. Somebody told me, I think my eye doctor said that. Well, maybe, or I don't know. Someone did. Someone told me that. But
Yeah, take a look into it. Of course, the one who did my LASIK was a doctor who worked on diseases of the eye. So he was very well in tune with all the problems with the eye, and he did a fantastic job. My only problem is I moved and I didn't go, and you got to get a refresher like every 10 years. You got to get a refresher, and I did not do that, and that was a problem.
Yeah, I would love to know with 20/20 vision with our glasses. You know, I went so many years of my life not thinking that I needed glasses until I went to the eye doctor and he put me on the machine, and I was like, oh, that's what the world looks like. Okay.
Yeah. I understand too well.
Yeah, it was like going from a regular TV to a 4K TV. It was
right.
I could read across the room. It was beautiful. And I couldn't realize that I couldn't see this whole time. I'm like,
yeah.
How did I do this?
Right.
But now I'm dependent on them. So now my eyes, the muscles, they're like weak. And so when I don't wear them, it kind of hurts a little bit, you know.
Oh yeah. I get it.
Yeah. A blind man's troubles. We're coming back here in about 5 seconds, guys. Let's get ready to go. All right, everybody, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. We are back here in the building with Krista and Brandi from Blondes and Boos. You can find them on YouTube. You can find us on YouTube as well. And the conversation we've had thus far, if you missed any of it, you can find this on YouTube. Just go in the archive, absolutely free. Doesn't cost you a dime. We have that all day. So go ahead and get ready to jump right back in to the conversation. So I know we were into the veil conversation. So, and you know, I'm just thinking all the time. If you could see inside my brain, it's just like. So I'm sitting there trying to connect dots, as we all are, as we have these conversations, and I'm just like, what makes more sense? Does it make more sense that we have extraterrestrials visiting us from somewhere else? Separate from that, we have encounters with the hairy guy named Sasquatch or Bigfoot, whatever you want to call him, in the woods. We have cryptid encounters. What's the likelihood that these things are all separate things? Is it more likely that they are all related at some point? What do you guys think about that? And I know you've had to think about this at some point. What would you say to that?
You want to go first, Brandi?
Well, I know I know they're all connected. I mean, to even look at the history of Bigfoot and aliens and things like that. I mean, they have cave drawings, for goodness sakes. You know, it goes back so far that, I mean, maybe they've always been here. This is nothing new. Maybe it's just new to us as a society that this is, you know, that they're more frequently seen now. I mean, because we have cell phones, we travel more, the social media, we're seeing it a lot more. But I just don't, I think they're connected. I just don't know how. I mean, I mean, some say that Bigfoot is just an ape that is just unidentified at this point. That is just an unidentified ape, but I'm not sure of all that, because all the encounter stories that we talk about on our show and that we hear, they're not all wrong. Right. They report orbs being seen, or some type of paranormal activity going on before or after their sightings. We ourselves have witnessed having like paranormal activity, and then all of a sudden we're looking up in the skies and we're seeing UAP activity.
Yep.
So it's hard to say. I mean, that's why I guess we keep going and we keep searching and we keep talking about this to actually put our piece together in the puzzle, because that's what I call it. It's one big puzzle, and we're just trying to keep adding pieces until we get the full picture. And I've always thought that Bigfoot is a little bit more mysterious than just a regular animal. I think it is more mystical, a little bit more than that. And I've even thought about it being related in the Fae family, in some of this, because of some of the stories that we've heard. Now, Krista and I have had a real life encounter with Bigfoot. And though we didn't see anything on the supernatural side, paranormal side, anything like that associated with it, that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It's just what our encounter was at that time.
Right.
And there was nothing but seeing this creature. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I can't base it on everything that I've seen because there's so many other people that have their stories and what they've seen. And some that I know that would never lie to me.
Yep.
Or never embellish their story.
Right.
So I have to take really what they say to heart when they're telling me. So, I mean, I guess it's really hard to put a definitive answer on anything because nobody is an expert. Nobody.
Right.
There is absolutely no experts in this world on anything that is paranormal. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
We can only speculate and guess and things like that. But I'm hoping to actually get a true answer, at least one. Just one. That's all I want to know. It's just one.
Yeah.
We have a location that we investigate quite a bit that our paranormal team has exclusive rights to. And we've been sitting there doing, Bigfoot stuff, hearing tree knocks, hearing howls, and yet looking into the building, and we have ghost activity. And I kid you not, we look into the sky, and that night we seen over 20, Brandi can attest, UFOs in the sky. Yeah. So to me, I have no doubt that they're connected. I just don't know how they're connected.
Right. And people are like, well, how do you know they're UFOs? How do you know they're UAPs? Well, let me tell you how. Because we keep track of the satellites. One of our teammates, keeps an app that tells her where exactly the satellites are and where they're moving and what flight pattern they're on. We also know the flight patterns of any of the local airports or anything like that. So we keep track of that too and which way they would be going. And then, of course, the other flight patterns from the smaller airports, well, they have to be registered with the bigger ones. So they know where those airplanes are. So we pretty much know what, we as humans are doing out there with, the airplanes and the satellites and things like that. It's those other little lights that we're not quite sure of what they are, especially when they're out there and they have a different kind of light system. And how they have erratic movements and things that are just not known of aircraft that is made today that could move like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have to take that all into consideration when we're saying, hey, that is a UFO. That is what that is, because we have gone through all of our bases and made sure that this can be nothing that a man-made, plane. So, I mean, we really try to do our research this, but when she's talking about seeing those that night, though, we're sitting out there like we're in the woods and we're listening, but we can also see the back of the asylum. So, and now the asylum is like 4 floors, but on the top floor, we're watching someone or something walking through there with like a dim flashlight, like shining the light in the rooms. You can see it right through the windows, its own independent light source coming through those windows. And we are all outside.
Yep. We were all accounted for.
Yeah.
There was no living people in that building.
Not one. But yet we're also hearing like tree large knocks. Movement. Yeah, we're hearing large movement out in the woods, and we're hearing the tree knocks, and then we're getting these unknown howls, which due to that location, there was a dogman sighting that was very close to there, and Krista has dubbed that Dogman Road, but it's only like a mile or 2 miles as a crow flies.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's only that far from it, but it sounds weird. Now, we have caught this on audio, and we've sent this off to people who are cryptozoologists, people who study these things, and, to make sure that this is not anything that could be indigenous to our area. So they have listened to it, and nobody can identify it. And not only is this happening at nighttime when we're hearing this, it's also going off during the day.
During the day. Yeah.
The paranormal, I think, is definitely something that I think there's enough proof out there for a lot of people, and people have a problem with the word proof, but evidence, whatever you want to call it. There's enough out there. There's videos where things have just flown off shelves. You
Yeah.
can't explain that. That's definitely obviously something to that.
Mm-hmm.
You have UFOs doing weird things in the sky,
Yep.
as Brandi stated earlier. We see that and we can confirm that. Why does it seem like when it comes to the Bigfoot and cryptid side of it, we don't get that sort of,
Right.
slam dunk evidence or something that at least, is more like 60-40 that there's something going on there?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I feel like we're finding out more and more because I think people are talking about it more. And, like subdivisions and shopping malls are going up in areas where, was their homes. So more people are seeing them. So I do feel like we are hearing more about it because of that. But, I don't know. Brandi, what do you think?
Well, I think everyone wants their 15 minutes of fame out there. We are getting just bombarded by hoaxing material, videos and audio, and sometimes it's very hard to distinguish what is real and it's not real until we get it analyzed, which is just crazy. I would like to think that when people put this stuff out there that they would say this is absolutely 100% real, and it was. But we're not getting that. We're not getting that at all. We're getting so much stuff that people are just trying to, get their name out there, do something with their reputation, try to get some hype behind their name. But what they don't realize is your name is everything you've got. Yes. Your reputation is everything that you've got. Mm-hmm. And once you're labeled a hoaxer, that's all you will ever be.
Yep.
Yes.
We always tell people, like we'll sit in an empty building or sit out in the woods most of the time and nothing is happening. It's not like it's constant,
No.
But there are some times, it's a little more active than others. So
yeah, my favorite thing to say is it's like watching paint dry.
Yeah.
That's what it is. But, we try different experiments out there. We're trying to see what works, what doesn't work, that sort of thing. Right. Of course, I said earlier that we are now bringing paranormal equipment out into the woods because of the significant activity that there is. When we were in Land Between the Lakes, we noticed that a lot. But it has like 240 something cemeteries within
7.
Yeah, within the Land Between the Lakes. So there is a lot of different type of activity, which we've actually experienced out there, including the orbs and everything like that. But then we take like the location we're talking about, Emmaus, we take that one. Now that also has cemeteries on premises. It's, people have, passed away in the buildings. There have been reports of cryptids out in the woods. So, I mean, it's like the trifecta.
Sure.
And kind of, if you will, like along like Skinwalker Ranch, because they have all of that stuff going on, which then again, in return, this place is having all of that. Now, I believe there's a bunch of places that are right along that line that are having all of this activity, like Skinwalker Ranch. They're just not as known, So we're doing research on ley lines and things like that to see if we can get anything to connect the dots. I mean, but I'm not seeing much that is connecting. It's just kind of like, well, okay, so this spot doesn't have that trifecta, but this spot does.
Right.
And I can't find any type of connection or anything that would state, okay, this would be more likely, or this place would be, better to go investigate. It'll probably have different types of activity. I can't even pinpoint that. I can't. I am just, trying to find anything, like I said, to connect the dots.
Yep.
When you look around, and a lot of people feel like I pick on the Bigfoot community, which I don't feel like I do, because as you said earlier, you've talked to people who wouldn't embellish, and you can also kind of feel if someone's being genuine or not based on the way they retell the story. So I know that there's something out there. And you go to the indigenous people, it's been talked about. These people are all on different parts of the globe telling the same story before the means of communication was ever there. So it's got to be something to it, but my whole thing in it's just, I want to see the Bigfoot community, the cryptid community, kind of just take those steps to bring the research up to at least the level of where the paranormal research and UFO research is now. Did you have anything you want to add to that?
Well, I mean, there's the different camps. I mean, it's just kind of like we're gonna need a little bit more evidence on Bigfoot for that community to kind of come together, because they're it's the left and the right, and they don't see eye to eye on in any of this.
Right.
And Chris and I are kind of in the middle on it. We don't think that every Bigfoot has all of these superpowers. We don't believe that. But we believe, as just like we do in humans, they may have a little bit of ability, like just like the different things of picking up that they may have like what we call the clairs, like we can see ghosts and we can touch them and collect evidence on them. And they have lots of stories where they say Bigfoot has orbs following them, which I believe is an independent energy source. And I always say this all the time, that when we pass, we carry energy within ourselves, and energy does not dissipate. It just transfers.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think it becomes these orbs or whatever. And I mean, we still have a lot of research to do on that too, but I think there's so much more that needs to be found out before we can get this community as one Bigfoot community. It's just so in half right now. And plus, again, I have to say it with the hoaxers and the whole putting out all these videos and all of this stuff that is nonsense, it is dividing it even worse.
Glad that you're saying that. I'm glad, because I have that opinion too. And it's when I've come to the realization, that we need more self-policing within our community. And it's like people like yourself that would be able to call out other people that are hoaxing. I mean, because I tell the story that I'm not fully versed on everything within the Bigfoot community. So I saw something on YouTube a few weeks ago, and there was a guy on there who's, I guess, I didn't know this at the time, but he has been known for hoaxing things throughout the years. And he's presenting something on this video, and I'm blown away. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Are you telling me that evidence is out there? And then I did a little research, found out the guy's a hoaxer, been all the time. It is just dangerous, because me being a first time person hearing that information, what if I go with that, right? And it just, as Brandi said, muddies up the waters. Yeah. And it's just, if we're trying to get to the truth, that all that takes away from those steps we're making towards getting to the truth, or just making it harder to take those steps. And I get a little passionate about it, and I think some people get rubbed a little the wrong way. And it's just really, I just want us to be critical about ourselves and about the things that we bring to the table. Is that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Exactly.
Brandi nailed it when she said your reputation is everything, and it is. That's what we pride ourselves on. If we didn't get anything, or we don't capture anything, we're not going to embellish and say that we did. That's just not who we are. We want people. Same with us. We want to grow, and we want to learn, and we want truth. And that's what we're all in it for, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And when I produce any evidence, especially in the paranormal, you get the raw footage. That's what I'm going to present you with. This is what I got. And sometimes it could be in the form of maybe my audio recorder. Like, here you go, listen for yourself. You can listen to the whole thing. You'll know when you hear it. And I've done that plenty of times. And there are other times where I'm like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? But Krista and I have this theory: when in doubt, we just throw it out.
We say that all the time.
If anyone can say, well, it could be this, this, or this, then we're like, okay, throw it out. That's it. I mean, it's useless information now. So it's kind of like when you get out there and you put out false information, false evidence, and then you have an encounter that is absolutely for real. You capture probably the best evidence that anybody has ever caught. Nobody is going to believe you.
Right.
It's like it's kind of like the same thing. When in doubt, throw it out. But when you hoax, you'll never be taken seriously.
When you hoax, you're the joke. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. So it doesn't matter any time after that. Once you're caught, one time, you're done. And they don't understand that, and they just keep going. And it's like nobody's going to believe you no matter what you put out there.
We have a haunted location actually in Missouri here that the lady was caught hoaxing, and it was during our team's event. And, we had a couple part on her. We're like, listen, this is our reputation. You do have ghosts here. Why are you doing this?
The owner
called her out. The owner did. And we let all of our attendees know it had nothing to do with us. She did this, moved the door. It was on her. It had nothing to do with us. So, if a lot of these people, like if you're patient enough, that you will get something. You just got to put the time out there, or in a building or in the woods or wherever, looking at the skies. You got to put the time in to get the good evidence.
Yeah, I believe you could get it anywhere. You really can. You will find it. I mean, absolutely 100%. You will find it. It's just you've got to put in the work. You've got to get out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And it's just the reason why I felt kind of weird about it in the beginning is because normally skeptics are the ones that have these opinions and say these things, but they end up being true statements. It's like, yes, you should be more critical. Yes, you should probably run that through a couple checks before you just put it out there as evidence. And they're right in that aspect. And so when we talk about it within the community like we're doing now, we are sometimes talking about colleagues and friends and people that we've known for some time, and it seems like the wrong thing to do to kind of be critical about friends and things of that nature. But it's like we have to do that. It's like it's really our job to do that. And what are we doing if we're not doing that?
Yeah. Well, we are all about the truth, and our paranormal team, if they catch someone hoaxing or they catch someone doing something like that, like they all have a separate podcast. They call people out on that. Brandi can attest, he's called out many of famous people in the industry that you see on the TV because of hoaxing.
Yeah. We had that bad in the UFO community recently, or last few years. You saw Lou Elizondo, all these guys who step forward, and then the community kind of cannibalizes them, puts them through the ringer. Well, I mean, it's kind of cool to critically think and ask questions of these people. You shouldn't just buy it all. You shouldn't believe it all. It doesn't get us any closer to making this factual or out there for the world. And we have about 20 seconds if you want to close out with anything.
I think that my biggest piece of advice is question everything. Question everything.
Yep.
Yeah, good stuff there. And I bring this up a lot, and I'm going to bring it up more because I think more people within the community should be talking like this and having this conversation, along with telling the story of the experience. Because that's great, that was awesome. But also, what about the guy over there that just made that up, who got the same amount of time on stage as you did? Someone who's really trying to get to the truth, and it's something that bugs me. It's just like a pet peeve of mine.
I hear you. I'm with you.
We're going to go ahead and go to break right here at the top of the hour. Right here, we'll be back with Krista and Brandi from Blondes and Boos right here, Spaced Out Radio, After Hours Radio Show. See you in a minute.
Conversations that move the needle. You're listening to After Hours with Mr. Rob G on the only place where you can own the night. Spaced Out Radio.
You've tuned your dial to the right frequency.
All right, we are clear and we're off camera for 5 minutes. See you guys in a few.
Okay.
All right. All right, welcome back. Spaced Out Radio after hour number 2. We have about 30 seconds left. We come back for radio breaks. Go ahead and bring our guests back on the stage. Here they go.
All right.
And this is the hour for questions, guys. I did post, I tagged a few of the questions. Keep them coming, and we'll make sure we ask them on the back half of this hour. We have about 15 seconds. And thanks again, everybody, for the awesome super chats. Gizmo, I didn't get to say thank you earlier. This should buy some dog whistles. Woof. Appreciate it. All right, everybody. Welcome back. Spaced Out Radio, After Hours Radio Show, after hour number 2. We are back with our guests, Krista and Brandi from Bloods and Boos. Been having an awesome conversation about the paranormal, Bigfoot. We're going to get in some UFOs and a lot more this hour. Make sure you guys don't go anywhere. If you missed any of the conversation, once again, jump into the archive, youtube.com/at Spaced Out Radio, as we go ahead and jump right back in to the conversation. So I did want to, I heard you earlier talk about you both shared a Bigfoot experience. Mm-hmm. Would you mind talking about that?
Sure.
I'd love to hear about that.
We were in Ava, Missouri, and we had been at a conference, and there was a camp out there with it. And what was it? We were there for a couple days, and we were in a tent. You know, we had a decent sized tent, and I had a cot. Brandi had an air mattress, and there was another gal there with us. And a awful storm came in, and it wasn't supposed to be that bad, but it was really bad. It blew like our cook tent down, and it was just awful. And so we had a fire before that. We were sitting around it. And then, so after it, believe it or not, the fire stayed lit. How that happened, I do not know, but it did. We went back out there, sat around the fire till about 2:30 in the morning. And then it was time for bed. And by then the rain had come through, and Brandi, was on the air mattress. So she's like, I'm just going to sleep in my car. Like, that's fine. And so I go in, I crawl in bed, and I'm playing on my phone as I do every night, just kind of winding my brain down and playing games. And I started hearing something from behind my tent, like where my head was. And so I kind of, was listening, and I heard something walk up, like from behind, and it walked up to the side of the tent. And when it had turned around, I had looked, and the way that by then the storm had came and went, it was a crystal clear night, and the moon was full. And I just say it was a shadow, because I seen from like the half the arm up, and I could see a elongated head, and it went by. So by then I'm sitting up, because I'm like, this is right, it's right behind my head. So I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous. And so I heard it come around this side of my tent, and then that's where I'll let Brandi take over.
Yeah. So I was in my car, and like she said, we'd been out there for a couple days, and we had just gone through the conference, and I was just exhausted. So basically, when I got in my car, it had really cooled down out there. So I had a sleeping bag, and I'm in the driver's seat, and I pulled it up, and I've got my head tucked down into my sleeping bag, because I breathe in my sleeping bag to keep myself warm, when I'm cold. So you could see the back of my head sticking out, but my face was in my sleeping bag, and I'm laid back in my seat, and I kind of hear this walking around and stuff, and I'm kind of like, okay, what's that? And then I hear this kind of like a tap 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 on the front of my car. I'm thinking it's just rain, like residual rain that's coming down. Again, my face in the sleeping bag. So then I kept hearing the walking, like it went around the front of my car, and I'm thinking, all right, one of these ladies are up using the restroom, and we have this rule that no lady goes out and uses the restroom alone. It's just the thing. We always have a lookout, because apex predators, you never know what's out there, and unfortunately, one of the biggest predators out there is the human race. It's just it is very true. So there's always somebody. So I kind of slowly, because I am really groggy, and I slowly look up. Now I'm parked on the side of the tent, and my the driver's side door is pretty close to the tent where I can, just lean up and look right at it. So I'm looking at it, and I see there's no lights on. Not even the zipper is undone on the tent. Nothing. I didn't hear anything like that. And I'm looking around and I see nobody. So then I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's the tent over on the other side of my car. So I look out, and I'm looking out the passenger side window of my car. And right at the corner of the back of their tent on the other side, I see this thing standing there. So me trying to really get my mind going, because I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, I'm sleepy. I get it. And I'm looking at it, and this thing is huge. I'm thinking, okay, this is a man. And then I'm like, this is way, way too big to be a man. This thing is just not right. And as she was saying, as the moon was coming down, and it was shining towards on the back of it. So I could not see any of the features on the front. It just made a really dark shadow on the front. So I couldn't see that. But I could definitely see the whole outline of this creature standing right here on this corner. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, okay, it's a bear, it could be a bear, because we're in bear country. It could be possible. And then I'm looking at it again, and I'm like, that's not a bear. A bear doesn't have shoulders. So all these things start clicking. And then it was like a light bulb popped on, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm sitting here and I'm looking at Bigfoot. I am looking at Bigfoot, and I am just at awe. And I'm leaning up, and I'm, looking at it. And then I figure out, does it see me? That was my whole question. Does it see me?
Right.
And then all of a sudden that adrenaline started pumping. I'm like, I'm in this car alone. I'm out here by myself. So if I make any sudden movements, what's going to happen? I have my phone laying next to me in the seat. And I know as soon as I pick that phone up, that screen light is going to come on.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't want it to see me, because I don't know how this thing's going to react. And I'm thinking, I can't let anybody know, because what if I turn on my headlights and this thing starts to react aggressively? What if I honk my horn and this thing goes berserk out there? I have no idea how this thing's going to react while I'm sitting there. So, as the adrenaline is rushing through you, you have this fear. And whenever I go out in the woods, I always have protection, always. And unfortunately, it was laying in the back seat on the floor. So I can't move to get it, because I'm afraid it'll move my car, which will then in turn, make this thing look at me. So I'm sitting here absolutely helpless looking at this. No way to get any evidence, no way to call anybody, nothing. That's if we could have got a phone signal, which that was pretty sketchy out there anyway. But I'm sitting out there going, well, if nothing else, I can honk the horn. So I watched it a little bit, and next thing you know, it starts the swaying thing. Like it's not looking at me, like it's contemplating what it's going to do next. It's kind of has this confusion thing going on while it's bobbing back and forth, and it's going back behind the tent, in front of the tent, behind the tent, in front of the tent. And I'm just like, I have no idea what this thing is doing. So I'm like, well, what do I do here? I'm afraid it's going to see me. And then I get the fear of this thing could have me in less than 5 steps, break out my window and have me out of that car and in the woods before anybody could unzip their tent. Yep. So I had this real fear, but I was also in awe. It was so exciting. I mean, this is what we've been talking about for days. This is why we were out there, and we'd been out hiking and everything else, and I didn't see anything. So, I'm like, well, here it is in camp. This is awesome. But wait a minute, this thing could get me. So what I decided to do, because I got a good long look about 45 seconds is basically what I think I had, which is in a Bigfoot sighting, that is forever.
Mm-hmm.
So, I could see the conical head. I could see the length of the arms. The chest was probably about 2.5 foot wide. I could see just the long hairs coming off it, just kind of glistening in the moonlight there. And I'm like, well, I can't stare at this thing forever because I'm afraid that if it doesn't see me, it will eventually. So I decided to lay myself back down exactly the way that I was before I leaned up. So I leaned back down and I put my head back into my sleeping bag.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be afraid of what I could see. It was just because that's the way I was laying.
Mm-hmm.
And just very quietly laid there, and I just listened for it. And I'd listen to it walk and walk until I couldn't hear it no more. And after that, I kind of had like an adrenaline dump. It was just kind of like the whole nerve-wracking thing that was going on, the amount of time we've been out in the woods, the all day at the conference, and I was just exhausted. And I pretty much just passed out, just
Right.
gone. Which, I mean, people have their theories on that, like being zapped or something like that, which is, I don't know anything about that. That's a new thing for me of being zapped. But that's basically where it just sucks the energy out of you, and you're done. You're done.
That's new for me too.
Yeah.
Right.
What is this swaying? Because I've heard that before.
I don't know.
I don't hear it a lot though. That's the thing. I've heard it only a few times. This swaying action that they're seen doing.
Yeah, like I said, it was more like it was confused, like it was kind of peeking out and then it go back, kind of like it, almost, because we talked about this at length with a lot of people, that were there at the conference and other people, almost as if there was another one that could have possibly been in the woods hiding or something.
That's what
And
they
it was
think.
kind of like they're looking for them or trying to, get their attention or whatever. But it was also, are there any more humans out there? Kind of confusion,
Right. Right.
Because I mean, heck, we blew everything that we had from that storm was all over the ground. This is in the middle of the night, and there were the trash had went. I mean, we picked up what we could. I mean, you can't see it all, but I mean, basically, this is a free meal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and what was really incredible too. So the next morning, we had Bigfoot trackers there, that were there in camp. They didn't hear it. However, when he got out, where I was telling him where I heard it coming from, we got 14-inch impressions that went all around my tent, went around where Brandi had seen it, and then went on down further. What was really cool too is that I had looked at my phone and it was 3:12 in the morning, and downwind, the other tents, one time was like, 3:20, and then it was, so everybody's time, like they were waking up because they were hearing something, but they just laid there too. So we weren't the only ones that had the encounter. It was the whole one side of camp. The other guys didn't, but the whole side, there was maybe I would say probably 6 other tents that actually had heard it as well. And it was crazy because the time frame and then the impressions, we got pictures of all that, the 14-inch impressions.
Yeah. And, because you could definitely see the push trail where it came out of the woods, it went back into the woods, and then it came back out again and then skirted the whole camp. You could see the whole push trail all the way around the camp, which was actually, it was fantastic. Yeah. But that morning when I had woke up, which, I probably got maybe 3 hours of sleep. And then I hear all this commotion going outside the car. So I get out of the car and they're like, wait, we had a visitor. Hang on, watch where you're stepping. And that's when I said, I know. I saw it.
Yeah.
I saw it. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that began a whole, investigation. I mean, everybody went in investigative mode right then and there. Yeah. We couldn't have had a better, I guess, encounter in a better place. I mean, because we had the trackers, we had investigators, we had actually a journalist from Bigfoot Times there. We had all kinds of people that this is what they lived for. You know, this is their, you know, their life's dream to have something like this happen. And immediately, you know, they were questioning us and what we heard, and you know, and it was just a fascinating process. You know, and they wrote up a thing in the Bigfoot Times about the whole encounter. But we were trying to determine how far it was from my car to where it was standing. And I'm like, I don't know, 10 feet. I you know, I don't know. But when we measured it, it was almost 20.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess because the sheer size of this thing, just
Right.
how wide and how big it was, I thought it was closer to me. Which that can happen. So then they're like, well, how tall do you think it was? And I'm like, I don't know, about 6'5". And they're like, well, 6'5". And I'm like, yeah. Well, how would you know that? I said, my brother's 6'5". I've been looking at him my whole life.
Right.
You know, I know how tall it was. Well, when they measured it from where I saw it to the top of the tent, because I used the tent for a height measurement, when they measured it, it was 6'7".
Wow. And that's new. I never really heard of one being smaller than 8 feet or 9 feet or so long. So that's interesting. And you would think, obviously, they have to grow up, so they're going to be different heights. But
Right.
So it sounds like then you both were at this sighting, and it sounds like I think Krista was in a tent.
Yes.
And you, Brandi, were in the car, which is where I would have been. Inside something steel. How do you feel after that, Krista? Are you still going back out in tents, or?
Oh yeah, I've stayed in a tent since then. Absolutely. I just, you know, honestly, if it wanted to hurt us, it would have.
Yeah.
You know, because my head was right there. I tell everybody, my head was probably within 3 feet of it. You know, through the tent. And so, if it really wanted to hurt me, or any of us, it could have. You know, I think it was just curious. And as Brandi had said earlier in the show, you know, there was nothing woo about it, nothing abnormal. You know, what we saw was literally just a creature walking around camp. That was it. Nothing.
Yeah.
From your research, does it seem like they that you have more of a chance of running into one in the day or night? Is there a difference from what you have researched?
Not really, because you hear a lot of encounters of daylight encounters, you know. Then you also hear, you know, at night, and you know, we've had luck, like Brandi said, you know, we've gotten the howls both day and night, you know, out there at Emmaus.
Yeah, I don't think it really matters. I think with our particular encounter together, that this particular creature had been watching us for days.
Yeah.
You know, it was smelling the food we were cooking out there. It was listening to us tell stories. It was doing all kinds of stuff, you know, just, you know, biding its time. But when that storm came through and blew everything everywhere, I think it really got curious to see what was actually out there.
Yeah.
You know,
they also believe that, you know, that it was probably a juvenile and that there was an adult watching somewhere, you know, in the hillsides, or you know,
which could speak to the size. That would definitely make sense.
Yeah.
Is it and you kind of went there on that answer there, Brandi, but I was kind of wanting to know, like, what would be, if you had to guess, the reason why. I mean, well, you were cooking food, some delicious food, sounds like, which would be the reason why they'd want to come close. Because I'm like, why risk getting so close to human beings and just being right there, not knowing what they could do to you? But then also, do they get that close in the daytime, or is it only under the cover of night that they attempt to get that close to human beings?
I guess they pretty much stake you out. You know, they watch you, they watch your habits, and then they figure out the right time that they should be, you know, moving about without you being aware. Right. You know, and they've had some weird activity in the area anyway, because we were on private property, and these people had chickens, but when they go to the store and have to get eggs for one reason or another, they would save the cartons, and then they would put the chicken eggs that they would, get and put them in there, and then, share them out with a family that lived around, that particular property. They'd share them out. Well, one day, one of the family members said, "Hey, I left, 2 dozen eggs on your porch."
Yep.
And the other person said, "There's not any eggs on my porch. There's none. There's no eggs." So they couldn't figure out what happened to the eggs. If it were to be a dog or any other type of animal, you would have found them flipped. You would have found a trail of eggs, where they had come out of these packages. But they didn't find anything like that. A few days later, the egg carton showed up on another family member's porch, but there was a few eggs in there, maybe a couple broken, but the rest were all good. There were no teeth marks in the packaging or anything like that. Yeah. So something with a thumb had to have picked that up and carried it around and then took it back.
Yeah.
So it was very weird. The other weird thing I thought about is because, we were in bear country, and as they researched it more, because they tagged the bears out there to keep track of them, that the bears would basically skirt this property. They would not go through the property. They would kind of go around it. Maybe hit the edges a little bit, but they would never go through the property. They tracked them. They never went through that property, which I found that strange too. So were the bears giving, this particular animal, or whatever you want to call it, Sasquatch, its own space? Right. Yeah. Like they knew better. It's like they didn't want to pick that fight, so they would just go around it.
Yep.
It's interesting that you bring that up, because I've actually asked that question to a Bigfoot researcher. It's just like you would have to imagine that at some point in time, either Bigfoot runs into Grizzly or Grizzly runs into Bigfoot, and then what happens in that interaction? And you would assume Bigfoot wins. So then over the years, have we found like mutilated grizzlies, at the hands of a Bigfoot? But it would make sense that, having those senses that a bear just kind of avoids anywhere a Bigfoot would be at, that would make a lot of sense. So it's crazy you brought that up, because I actually wondered that as well.
Yeah, I think they just give them a wide berth. It's kind of like it's your natural enemy. You're not going to mess with that, because you know that you'll probably lose.
Right.
And then if you don't lose by a chance, you don't lose, you're going to end up going away anyway because of your injuries. So it's really not worth the fight.
Right.
If you would have gotten if you would have, and I think you sort of answered this earlier, but that night that you had the experience, if you had obtained any sort of imagery or video, would you have put that out? Would you have shared that with the world? How do you feel about actually uncovering the secret of Bigfoot?
I think we would have, because, we were there. We saw it was legit. So I believe we would, just because, we witnessed it, we recorded it. So we would. And, it's not everybody's going to believe everything you put out, because, AI today, that's really bad for all of us. And, so that's easy just to throw it, say, oh, that's just AI. Well, but I know my truth. I know that we only put out credible stuff that we know that is true, that happened.
Right. And I'm not here to prove to you or anyone else what I had saw or what I had seen is truthful. I'm going to give you the facts of my encounter, and it's up to you whether you want to believe it or not.
Yep.
I still sleep in my car. I'll go out there, but I'll still sleep in my car. I have a big fear of hogs anyway. So, and a lot of places I go have wild hogs. So I'm kind of fearful of those anyway. But that encounter made it like 10 times worse. So I will still sleep in my car.
I understand that. I'm sleeping in a car or a trailer or something along those lines. Won't put me in a tent anymore. And I might tell the story why. But we'll come back right after this break. Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show. Don't miss out on the rest of the show. About 30 minutes left with the guests. We'll see you right after the break. All right, we are clear. We got 5 minutes here. Everybody can still see and hear us, just so you know. And Jules has stepped in the building. Hey, Jules, appreciate you coming on in. Mothman also has joined us a little late, but we love it. Appreciate you. Also, Hypersonic as well. Thanks for coming on in and checking us out tonight. Let's see. Riley Ivy Forrest. Hey, Riley, thanks for coming on in. We appreciate you joining us here tonight. Swamp Dog Overland Adventure. Thanks for coming on in, saying that happens. Yeah, that happened. That should put that on the shirt. That happens. Yeah, I like it. Thanks for coming on in. And let's see. Yeah. Says Scott Rosen says, Mr. Tim, I lost it. Yeah, Tim on man. I didn't lose my glasses. I just left them at home, rushing out the door to come to the office. And I never will do that again. Believe me. Ever. Let's see. Okay. All right. Yep, we're good to go. And just so for anybody out there, if you're joining the show here for the first time tonight, you've come in. Well, actually, this is not my normal night. You're actually tuning in on a night where Dave Scott would normally be here. So filling in for Dave Scott here tonight. He's normally here Monday through Friday from 9 p.m. until midnight. And then I run the weekend show here with the After Hours radio show, which is normally you can catch it Saturdays and Sundays, 8 p.m. Pacific until 11 p.m. Then we have Dirty Phil with the Cryptid Cartoons Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific. We have Lee and Grantavius Max on Wednesdays with UFO Max, 8 p.m. Pacific. And then Lee and Tim James Fridays, 8 p.m. Pacific. So basically, I'm trying to say is 7 days a week, we have something going on right here at Spaced Out Radio, and we'd appreciate you coming back to check us out. So if you wouldn't mind considering hitting that like button, subscribe button, we would totally appreciate it. Actually, if we could, just for a moment, since we have 2 minutes left, let's take one moment. Let's take 30 seconds. If you look right under the screen, you should see a little thumbs up or thumbs down button. If you could hit either one, we'd appreciate it because it lets YouTube know if we're doing a good job or not, kind of gets us out there to the algorithm. We'd appreciate it. And if you're watching from X, it should be like the little heart button beneath the screen. So if you wouldn't mind hitting that, that'd be awesome. And then consider coming over and joining us on the YouTube side and joining the chat and subscribing over here. We'd appreciate it if you would at least consider it. So that's my little spiel for the night. And let's see. Yeah, so I was watching you guys earlier on your live and checking out some other stuff. So you got over there with Donnie and BMR. And are you over there with Tex as well? Is that Tex?
Yes. Yep. Okay. Tex and Paranormal Paul and then Monica Rollins. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Danielle as well. Yeah, okay. Familiar. I was over there. I was had an opportunity to be a guest on BMR's show. Wait a minute.
I co-host with BMR on his Tuesday night shows.
Okay, that's where I'm like, is with Krista. I was like, wait a minute, Krista, hold on.
Oh, so, yeah. You and I met already.
Yeah, that's what I knew it. When we in the beginning, I was like, I didn't interview you guys together, but it seems like I know from here. I just couldn't place. That's what it was. Okay.
Yes. And we're going to have to get you on our show too.
Yeah, exactly.
Anytime. I'm open and available. Just let me know.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Yeah. It just clicked for me. It was just a ding.
Yep.
Live on camera. Wow.
Yep. And then Brandi and I both, and then Monica Rollins, we co-host BMR's Saturday night shows with him too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm looking for I've really been thinking about this, and I've been looking around. I'm like, there's so many different groups involved in this, as far as this goes. And I'm like, what if we kind of organized it a little bit better? I don't know how we would do that, but I'm trying to think through, because I think we could work better together somehow.
Oh yeah.
And I just don't know how to do it, because everybody wants to stay separate and kind of do their own thing. But what if we kind of united on some sort of front?
Yeah.
And,
except for us, like I will say, like all of us, like we have a lot of friends. We've met a lot of people, that have their own shows and stuff. And we're all about uplifting them and sharing them and promoting them too, and I think if more people and more channels did that,
Coming back right now. All right, everybody, welcome back. Spaced Out Radio After Hours Radio Show. We are on the back half of the second hour here with our fantastic guests. We have Krista and Brandi from Blondes and Boos, and we've been talking all sorts of stuff here tonight. Paranormal, Bigfoot, maybe getting some UFOs. Your questions as well coming up here in the next half hour. Don't go anywhere. If you miss any in the conversation, once again, it's completely and totally free. YouTube.com/Spaced Out Radio. So we were getting back into the Bigfoot conversation. So that's a compelling story. And my thing with the Bigfoot, is I was talking about earlier tonight, is I just want there to be goals, because Brandi said it earlier. Either one of you said it, where the unity in the community isn't there. And I just kind of want to see everybody get united and share data and kind of elevate where we're at in this. In any way that I can help, let me know. Because technically Bigfoot isn't my bag necessarily, but anything related to phenomena is important to me. So and that includes Bigfoot and everything else. So any way that I can help, let me know. But maybe I overthink things too much. That's kind of what I think sometimes. It's like, are you overthinking this? But I find myself a few steps ahead sometimes. I'll have this crazy thought and I won't really know where to go with that. And then a few months later, someone will say the same thing that kind of validates it. And it's like you were on the right path the whole time.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about Blondes and Boos. What do you guys have going on there, Blondes and Boos? And what could viewers expect coming to tune in?
So we do live shows every Thursday and Friday evening is our main shows. Brandi does a show that streams through Blondes and Boos, and it's on Wednesday evenings. And so technically there's 3 shows. And we just do a lot of stuff. We enjoy like going on other people's shows like this. And we have a conference coming up that our whole Island of Misfits is putting on. And we just stay busy. We do conferences. We speak at some conferences. We've done it all. Go out to the woods. We go to the haunted locations. We stay busy.
Yes, very, very busy. It's to the point now where I have to kind of pick and choose where I'm going to go. It's just like there's so many places. It's like, look, I got to work. I got to make money because, we're not getting rich at this by no means. You have to pay to play, as they say. Mm-hmm. So I find that it does better when I can get somewhere local where I can investigate, or what I mean local is within a 4-hour radius. That's what I should say. Somewhere where I could get to and spend a longer amount of time, so I can get a lot of quantity and quality time investigating out there. And with what Krista and I do, that gives us a lot of time together. So not only are we doing these shows, we're also getting out there and actively investigating. And one weekend we could be doing ghosts. The next weekend it may be cryptid. The next weekend, hey, we're going to go check out and see what these UFOs are doing over here. It's always that. And we do that not only because of our own curiosity, but it helps with our content on our channel, because we want to keep constantly updating and making sure that we're not talking about the same things over and over and over, that we have something new to produce.
Yeah.
And plus we enjoy it. I mean, it's definitely, it's our passion. The paranormal as a whole is definitely both of our passions. And so it's just really cool because, like we're both in Missouri and, we're not only, partners for Blondes and Boos, but like we're best of friends on the outside too, so it just,
And it's cool to actually be a part of something that's like so important, paradigm shifting for the human race. Like what are the chances that you ever find yourself alive at a time when you could participate in something that could shift the whole human understanding of reality? That's crazy to even think about. And we happen to be living in that moment right now. Right. And that's kind of what fires me up every day. Even if I don't feel like coming in to do something, I sit there and I think about what this means to humanity and what just our having this conversation could do to move this conversation on. So my whole motto is moving the needle, conversations that move the needle. So I feel like you should leave with more than you came in with by the end of the show. And as long as we keep doing this and we have people out there like yourself that are really trying to find the answers and are getting up off the couch, which is something I have to do as well. My next stage of this is getting out there in the field just like you guys are. So I think it's very important for people that can do that to get out there and do it. Some people just can't. And, you have a different part that you could play. But with that being said,
even if it's just sitting outside watching the skies, you don't have to go to the woods to have a weird encounter,
Right.
Just sit outside and just make sure that phone camera is pointing up towards the sky.
Yeah, watch the skies.
Exactly. You can do that any time of day. So real quickly before I get to a couple of these questions, I did want to know on the UFO side of this. So you stated sometimes you go out and look for UFOs. What is your outlook on UFOs? What do you think this means? What do you think they are? And do you have any opinion on that?
I'm like Brandi, I'm not saying, that they all come from outer space, maybe some come from inner earth too. I don't know, but I do believe like they walk among us. I will, I do. And I think, that some could be, just as normal looking as you and I, just kind of,
I believe that too.
And I think they're here, I don't think that they're all bad and I don't think that they're all good. I'm not really too sure what they are, but I do feel like that they're here, like they're watching the earth and, maybe not so much us or maybe so just to see how we're treating the earth and the environment and, things like that. Because I mean, obviously their technology is so far more advanced than ours. So, they don't need any of that from us, but I just feel like that they kind of watch us just to see, how we're treating, the space.
Oh yeah. Well, they're probably super disappointed or not impressed at all with the job that we've done here on this planet so far. And if they allowed us to stay here, and that's the scary part, because if they allow us to keep doing what we're doing, obviously we're going to destroy the planet. Will they allow us to keep going on this path? That's anyone's guess. I don't know. I really hope not. And we have a lot of things. So we have 3-Eye Atlas coming, supposedly maybe 40. I think Avi Loeb is now up to 40% chance. He's stating that he thinks it might be of extraterrestrial origin. Have you heard of this 3-Eye Atlas? If this was, it's a 12-mile, 20-kilometer apparently object. So they're thinking it's a comet that is coming in from outside of the solar system. It's coming in at a weird trajectory that doesn't make sense, and it's coming in at like 100,000 miles per hour or something along those lines.
Wow,
coming in really fast. We couldn't send anything out to kind of intercept it at this point. It's too fast. And there's a 40% chance, Avi Loeb says, that it could be intelligently controlled alien craft that could be rendezvousing here for the planet Earth. And then what that would mean if that was the case. He's saying there, at first he said 2% chance. He's just saying, hey, don't put it out your mind that this is what it could be. And now he's up to 40%, which is kind of troubling for me. I don't know why he jumped up that much, but what does that moment look like for you? If it just parks here at Earth now it's disclosure. And what do you think happens after that? Or what do you hope happens after that?
Go ahead, Brandi.
I guess for me, I mean, I'm that's a hard question because I mean, the powers that be are not going to tell us one way or another. It's just going to be like we're going to wake up one day and it's going to be like surprise, just like they do everything else. You know, they don't tell us anything in advance. So me being the person that I am, it's going to be like I'm going to, you know, just breathe in these moments and just, you know, try to obtain all the information I can just in case we are going to survive this, you know, because there's nothing that states that we are, you know what I mean? Just in case. And I always wonder, I know somebody's sitting on some information that they're not giving up. And they know more about this thing than what they're saying. Otherwise, there wouldn't be these theories coming out of anywhere, you know, that the theories are not based on nothing. There's something that they're coming from. So I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to relax. I'm going to watch it happen. And, you know, just thank God that I got to see it. You know what I mean? It's like, there's nothing we're going to be able to do about it. So if it happens to be something extraterrestrial or something like that, I'll be just happy to see it. Cause there'll be nothing we can do. You know, I mean, their technology, of course, like Krista said, you know, is leaps and bounds ahead of us. There's just absolutely nothing we're going to do. There's no weapon that can save us. There's nothing. You're just going to have to sit back and just watch. Yep. That's all you can do.
Yeah, you're totally right. There's nothing. There's nothing we can do. And he said one or two. It's going to be one or two things. We're going to sit and have an amazing viewing of this huge comet potentially passing Earth, 12 miles long, which is way bigger than Mount Everest, just kind of pass by. Or it's going to be an alien ship that's going to park, and a 12-mile ship is big enough to hold 1 billion invading extraterrestrials that could be on our front doors. It could go anyway, you know. And I'm just one of those. Hey, they could be here for great things and here to help, but also prepare for the worst. Because why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you prepare for the worst if you don't really know what their intent is?
Right.
Doesn't make sense at all. But let me go ahead and try to squeeze in a question or two here. We have Corey. Okay. Corey Doyle, we actually looked at this earlier. When I say what exactly are you seeing, I mean in general, are they trying to communicate something to you? If so, what would that be? I don't know if you guys remember what part of the conversation that was for.
I don't offhand.
Okay. All right. We'll go
I don't. I mean, if we're talking about Bigfoot, I mean, there's a conversation about mind speak and stuff like that. And Chris and I are kind of on the fence about the mind speak because how do you really know it's them talking to you? Just like when we're speaking to spirits and stuff, how do you know this could be like, say, your loved one? How do you know?
Right.
I mean, can you see them? Can you touch them? Are you absolutely sure? No, you're not.
Right.
So, you know, I don't know exactly what to say about that in what part of that conversation, but I don't know what anyone and when any of them would say actually if they were, you know, talking to me. Honestly, a Bigfoot could be telling me, "Hey, would you bring me a Snickers bar?" I don't know. So
it sounds like you're not a mind speak fan, or you don't think that they do that necessarily.
I'm on the fence because I'm not doubting they're hearing it.
Right. That's what I was going to say. We do believe that they're getting something. People are hearing something, but is it a Bigfoot? Because, you know, like I've studied demonology, and, you know, the dark side will, you know, come as, you know, like your grandma or a child, or if someone wants to talk to Bigfoot so bad, you know, why couldn't they come to you and Bigfoot, you know, just you open yourself up to them, and that's inviting them in. Well, there you go. You know, so I can't say that it's technically a Bigfoot they're talking to, but I'm not saying it's not either, you know, but that's just kind of my opinion, because I know the dark side are liars, you know.
I like that. That you don't know who's talking to you. You don't. Right. You really don't. Right. So I like that outlook. Super Crazy Movie Geek, do you think Bigfoot has any connection to the UFO phenomena?
I personally do. I think it's all connected. I do. I think, like portals, I believe like they can come in and out, that kind of thing. Yeah. So I do personally.
Yeah, and I always say this, but who's to say that aliens can only be little green or little gray men? Why can't they be big hairy ones? You know, I mean, how do we know? I don't know. That's just one of those things. That's what I love about this whole thing is trying to figure out at least one piece of that puzzle.
This phenomena has me even looking at insects even differently. I'm like,
yes.
are you a nanobot? Are you a nano? And it's just a thought, and it's like, but are you though? But are you?
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, who knows?
Yep.
Yeah. Are you another little alien life force that we don't know about?
Yeah.
Especially when you start seeing them strange ones that you've never seen before. You're like,
exactly. Yeah. What kind of bug is that? Exactly. I like you, Manny. Next question, Scott Rosen. Is it possible the UFOs are not interested in us, but actually looking for Bigfoot?
It's a good question. I feel like anything's possible at this point,
Exactly. Exactly. Like I said earlier, there are no experts. None. So whenever somebody throws out something like this on the table, I'm like, well, yeah. I mean,
why not?
Why not? Absolutely.
All right. And Holly Rotterman, all the way from Israel, asking, what if Bigfoot was a human experiment with humans, and what could have been the goal?
Interesting.
That's a good one. I never thought of that one.
I haven't either.
I do have a theory that I've been playing with that I believe we always talk about in evolution of man, that we have a missing link in there somewhere. And at some point, I think that could be where Bigfoot is coming from. It's like when everyone else went right, well, that link went left. Because they talk about so much about human DNA, this, that, or the other. And, I'm like, well, what if? What if it is our missing link that just found a different way to survive? And its own evolution is to be what it is today. What about that? That's the questions we ask.
I was thinking about that as you were talking earlier. I was like, what if Bigfoot was here first? Before anything else, and then what the spinoff. Yeah, so that'd be interesting. Definitely a nice rabbit hole to jump down.
Yep.
Bim Jim asking, have the ETs brought the Bigfoots here?
No idea. However, like Brandi mentioned earlier, the cave carvings, I mean, Bigfoot,
they are depicted together in some.
They are. So
they are depicted together. But I mean, like I said, maybe it's just another alien life form. I don't know. I really just don't know. Until we get, it just brings me back to the point. Somebody has got some evidence somewhere they're sitting on. They're not releasing this information. I know somebody has something that could tell us more, or connect, the dots that I keep talking about, or put together our puzzle that I keep talking about. Somebody's got that information, and they're just not releasing it. I don't know why, and I wish they would. But that's our community in the Bigfoot side, and the paranormal side is a little more easier going with evidence. But that Bigfoot community, boy, if they get some good evidence, they're not letting go of that. And I'm like, what are you waiting for? Mm-hmm. What are you waiting for?
Drop the other shoe. Exactly. Yep. Super crazy.
Exactly. Because if you have that type of evidence, and the powers that be can't refute that evidence, you're going nowhere. You're going to be right where you need to be.
Yeah,
they're not going to discredit you. Yeah,
and I feel like it's your duty to bring the evidence forward if you have it. That's just me. Some people say, "No, I never bring it forward. I will never show anyone." I'm like,
well,
it's kind of like your duty to bring it forward.
Yeah. And I understand that, Brandi and I, we don't get our feelings hurt. So, we know our evidence is real. So if somebody else doesn't believe it, that's okay with us. We
That's
don't
okay.
get our feelings hurt. And I understand where some people would, I do get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I'm not here to I'm not here to make you believe. I'm just here to show you what I got. That's it.
Yep.
Believe it or not.
Yep.
T-Bone is, Super Crazy Movie Geek is asking, do you think the government has secret Bigfoot files and possibly have a Bigfoot in captivity?
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. I don't know if they would have one in captivity, but I think that they possibly track them, know where they are. I do believe they have DNA evidence. That's what I was talking about earlier about somebody sitting on it. I believe that's part of that problem that we're having.
Yeah.
And I think the FBI looked into this. They definitely have files on Bigfoot for sure that they looked into.
Yeah. Yeah.
Super Crazy Movie Geek is asking, would you shoot Bigfoot dead if confronted? If so, what would you do with the body?
For me, I would do everything I could not to shoot it.
Absolutely.
You hear people talk about how they look so human-like, and I just don't see, unless it's coming after me or my family or a loved one, I would not. But if I had to, what would I do with the body? Well, I sure wouldn't go to the government.
They'd be on you, I'm sure, by then.
Yeah, I would, I don't know. I would.
Yeah, it's just like I said earlier. I mean, I do carry protection every time I do go out. I have it on me at all times.
Mm-hmm.
It is not, it's for anything that becomes a threat.
Yeah.
Any apex predator, including a human. Now, we talked about that I think humans are the worst predators of all, but for anything, if I felt that anyone around me or I was in danger, yes, I would do that.
Yeah.
And then I'd have to go buy a big old freezer.
Yeah, and honestly, I would do everything I could not to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't want to. I want to study them. I want to know more about them. I don't want to wipe. I'm not afraid of them until they make me afraid.
Yeah.
And let me ask this question real quick. There's one more question after this, but it's for you guys. Patterson Gimlin film real?
Yes,
I believe it is. Yes.
All right. And then T-Bone had this last question. Can you tell the chat about your Crossing Realms conference?
Brandi, that's all you.
I know it. Okay. The Crossing Realms conference is being put on by, of course, Tex, BMR, all of these good people of the Island of Misfit Toys. It is going to be in, of course, Richmond, Missouri, the 19th and 20th of September. It's going to be a great event. Now, we've got Friday night, which is going to be, basically, it was going to be a meet and greet, but this thing has exploded. Now it is going to be, we're having extra speakers. We're going to be watching somebody's brand new documentary that's coming out. Saturday, we are having a whole conference that is happening out there with vendors and everything, our speakers. We have a psychic gallery reading that's going to be happening. Our ghost hunt was sold out in the first week, so that is no longer available. And even for all ticket holders on Thursday evening, we've decided to open up a haunted ranch. I was going to say that, a haunted ranch in the area. And we're just going to have a social night where everybody can get together, and the speakers who have come in early, we're all going to just get together, and ticket holders, if you buy tickets, you can come to that too. We're not excluding you either. We're going to all have a good time with this. And if you want to have tickets or even a vendor spot, because we have an infinite amount of vendor spots available still yet, because we've got a whole fairground full. You can go to Crossing Realms Conference on Eventbrite and get all your information and all your tickets there. Or you can look under Blondes and Booze, and it'll also be under Crossing Realms Conference there. But if you notice, the name Crossing Realms is because that's our way of saying everything is intertwined. So we'll be talking about everything there: Bigfoot, dogman, the fae, the aliens, anything under the sun. We're even going to be having haunted cars that are there.
Awesome stuff, Krista and Brandi. Thanks so much for joining me tonight. It was fun. We'll talk again soon. We'll set something up.
Yeah. Yep. I'll get on our show. Yep.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Frequency.
All right, everybody. We are going to break, and we will be back in 5 minutes. All right, everybody. Welcome back. Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show. We are in after hour number 3 already. We're coming back from the radio side of this here in how long? 5 seconds here. Tales Untold, Miss Person Mysteries coming up next. All right, everybody. Welcome back. Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show. We are in after hour number 3. We want to thank our guests tonight, Krista and Brandi from Blondes and Boos. Totally awesome conversation tonight. Make sure if you missed that, you jump in the archives. 100% free, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. As we get ready to jump back into the show here. And I think we'll get this thing started with some Steve Stockton Tales Untold Missing Person Mysteries, because we appreciate him being a part of the show. So let's go.
Welcome to Tales Untold and Missing Persons Mysteries on Spaced Out Radio's After Hours. My name is Steve Stockton, and I'm here to take you on a journey of mysteries, legends, and true stories. Come, join me on this strange adventure of Tales Untold and Missing Person Mysteries. We have Angela Marie Hammond. On April 4, 1991, 20-year-old Angela Hammond was at a phone booth in Clinton, Missouri at around 11:45 p.m., talking to her fiancé, Rob Schaefer. The phone was located in a parking lot outside of the Food Barn store in the center of town near Jefferson and 2nd Streets. Angela had parked her car in order to make the phone call to Rob because she wanted to let him know that she was too tired to meet with him that night like they had planned and just wanted to go home, take a bath, and relax instead. The two lived together but had plans to meet somewhere after they both got out of work. While on the phone with him, she mentioned a mysterious pickup truck that had just started incessantly circling the booth she was in while she was talking to it. She became even more suspicious when the man driving the truck parked his car next to hers and got out, looking all around on the ground with some sort of light, as though he were trying to find something. Not knowing what was going to happen next, but having a bad feeling about the whole situation, Angela described both the man and his truck to her fiancé. She described the man as being filthy and bearded. Suddenly, Angela started screaming, and the line had gone completely dead. Rob was only a few blocks away and immediately threw the phone down, got into his own vehicle, and sped all the way to where Angela had been talking with him just moments earlier. On the way to the scene, though, he heard her scream and call out his name as he passed a truck that he noticed looked just like the one she had been describing to him before all hell broke loose. It was a late model 1960s or early 1970s green Ford F-150 truck. He followed the truck for about a mile down 2nd Street and Culvert Drive, but the very sudden shifting of gears broke down his vehicle's transmission, and his car stalled in the middle of the road as he helplessly watched the man drive away in the truck with his terrified fiancée inside. Angela was 4 months pregnant and was never seen or heard from again. Rob said that he had gotten a better look at the truck Angela had been taken into, and reported that it had a water decal or some sort of outdoor scene covering the whole back window, that it possibly had a white top and possible damage to the left front fender. Witnesses reported seeing a Caucasian male driving a similar-looking truck near the phone booth at the same time Angela disappeared. The man has never been identified, but was reportedly wearing overalls and a dark-colored baseball cap. He wore glasses and had a beard and mustache. A composite sketch was completed based on witness testimony, and though Rob was initially considered a suspect, he passed a polygraph test and was eventually ruled out. At the time of her disappearance, Angela worked in a bank and attended classes at Central Missouri State University in Warren, Missouri. Angela is a white female who had turned 53 years old on February 9, 2024, and was only 20 years old at the time of her disappearance. She was between 4 feet 11 and 5 feet tall and weighed between 120 and 140 pounds. She was wearing a white button-down shirt with black spots on it, black slacks, and white sneakers. In 1991, Angela's teeth were said to have been in excellent condition. Her nickname is Angie, and she has brown hair and brown eyes. She wears contact lenses and has a scar on her upper lip. Anyone with any information about this case should contact the investigating agency, the Clinton, Missouri Police Department, at 660-885-5561. Next up, Brandon Lawson. Brandon Mason Lawson was born on November 18, 1986, in Fort Worth, Texas, in the United States. His parents' names are Brad and Kimberly, and he has 3 siblings named Brittany, Kyle, and Billy. Brandon and his common-law wife, Ladessa, were high school sweethearts and had 3 children together. On the evening of August 8, 2013, 26-year-old Brandon had an argument with Ladessa at their home in San Angelo, Texas. And as per the agreement the two had made with one another, when things got too heated, one of them would leave and give both time to cool off. And that's just what Brandon did. Brandon called his father and explained the situation, saying he wanted to come and spend the night at his house. Brad, who lived 3 hours away, didn't think it was a good idea for him to drive so far away and tried to talk his son out of it. However, Brandon insisted, and they hung up with one another. Brandon left his house in his vehicle, a silver Ford F-150, at 11:54 p.m., but would never return home again. Brandon ran out of gas on his way to his dad's house, which was located in Crowley, Texas, and he pulled over on Route 277 between San Angelo and Bronte in Coke County. His brother, Kyle, only lived a mile away from his and Ladessa's house, and he asked him to bring him some gas so he could get back on the road. While talking to Kyle, Brandon claimed he was being chased by 3 men whom he later described as, quote, Mexicans in the neighborhood, end quote. Kyle wasn't sure he believed what Brandon was telling him, but didn't know why he would lie about such a thing either. Brandon had a history of drug abuse, but had been completely clean for about 6 months leading up to the night of his disappearance. However, Kyle asked him if he'd been using, thinking that maybe his brother was just hallucinating. Brandon denied being high, and after hanging up with his brother, Kyle called Ladessa and explained what was going on. She left a fuel container outside for Kyle and his girlfriend to pick up so they could put gas in it and bring it to Brandon. Kyle didn't have any money on him at the time, but planned to pick Brandon up, bring him to the gas station to get the fuel, and then drive him back to his truck so he could put enough gas in to get into the station with his truck to refuel it properly. They drove to the location Brandon had given them and saw his truck parked on the side of the road, but they didn't see Brandon anywhere. A sheriff's deputy who had been contacted by a trucker showed up a few minutes later to check the vehicle out. During another call between Brandon and Kyle, after Kyle had gotten to the truck and saw the officer there, Brandon told him, I can see you. I'm right here. However, neither Kyle nor the deputy could see Brandon anywhere. When Brandon still hadn't shown up after several more minutes, Kyle thought it was possible that Brandon simply didn't want to have any contact with law enforcement because he had only recently learned that there was an outstanding warrant for his arrest. It was related to some drug charges issued to Brandon out of Johnson County years before in 2005. Many phone calls were made to and from Brandon's cell phone that night. The area had very poor cellular reception, so many of those calls either never went through or were dropped. It was at 12:30 a.m. that Brandon first called Kyle and told him he was out of gas. At 12:51, just after dialing 911, which we will discuss further in a moment, Brandon called Kyle's phone and left him a voicemail. Also at 12:51, Brandon called Ladessa, but she didn't pick up because her phone had been left in her car that night, which wasn't too unusual. At 12:52, Brandon called Audrey, Kyle's wife, and said, Audrey, I'm bleeding. Those are the last known words ever to be spoken by Brandon Lawson. At 12:54, Kyle called Brandon, but got no response. And at 12:57, Brandon called Kyle back. Then at 12:58, Brandon called one of his neighbors. And at 12:59, Kyle called Brandon again. However, none of these phone calls would last very long, and none of them got Brandon and his brother any closer to one another. At 1:04 in the morning, the 911 dispatcher called Brandon back and tried to get some more information, but he didn't pick up, and she left a voicemail. At 1:09, Brandon called Kyle 3 times in a row, and then at 1:15, called him twice more. Those were the final calls made from Brandon's phone, and from 1:19 on, all calls to Brandon's phone went directly to voicemail, and no calls were ever made from the phone after 1:15 a.m. call to Kyle. Brandon's 911 call became a huge subject of debate and the hottest topic of the case overall when it was finally released to the public, and the internet all but blew up with theories and speculation about what was being said and what could have happened to Brandon. It's incredibly hard to understand what's being said, possibly due to the poor cell service in the area. Here's one interpretation of several circulating online of the transcript of his original 911 call that night. Many people hear different things, and mostly what's being said has never definitely been determined, but many sources believe this is what most likely had been said that night. We have no opinion one way or another, but here's the interpretation. Operator, 911 emergency. Brandon. Yes, I'm in the middle of a field. If they could just bring some guys over. Right here, going towards Abilene on the Bronte side. My truck ran out of gas. There's one car here and guys chasing me into the woods. Please hurry. Operator. Okay, now run that by me one more. Brandon. I tried talking to him. I totally ran into them. Operator. You ran into him. Okay. Brandon. Just the first guy. In a background noise. Brandon. I got shot. Operator. Do you need an ambulance? Brandon. Yeah. No. I need the cops. Operator. Is anybody hurt? Strange noises in the background. Operator. Hello? 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 Brandon. Very faintly. Help me. Now, in a slowed down version of the call, many people believe there's another voice talking, saying, get up and protect yourself. But there's just never been anything definitive to point in the direction of what actually happened to Brandon Lawson that night. There's so much rumor and speculation surrounding this case, but if we're just sticking to the facts, the case is still open and unsolved. Brandon's family continued to search for him in the area through the morning, but they never found any evidence as to his whereabouts. Law enforcement initially presumed that Brandon might have been hiding and on the run because of an outstanding warrant, but most people didn't find that plausible, given that he called 911 himself and specifically requested the dispatch send the police to the station. Ledessa and the rest of Brandon's family tried to search as much of the area where his truck was last known to be, but their efforts were hampered by many landowners who refused to allow them to search their property. Not a single shred of evidence was ever found that would even suggest what might have happened to Brandon. In the days following the disappearance, law enforcement officials conducted their own small searches in the area, but never found a heat signature nor a body. The sheriff of Tom Green County, a man named Nick Hanna, who was the lead investigator and a Texas Ranger at the time, said he believed that Brandon's body was probably in the desolate desert area off US 277, which he said was largely inhabited by rattlesnakes and feral hogs. However, when they honed in on that section of the grid and focused their searches in Bronte, despite utilizing 2 DPS helicopters, ATVs, Texas R, 6 cadaver dogs, and 4 different agencies, no trace of Brandon Lawson was ever found. It's a mystery that remains today, with the many interpretations of the 911 call being the prime focus of the whole situation, with people thinking if he were ever to be found, what was really being said in that phone call would be the key to it all. And next, Joanne Marie Peterson. Joanne Marie Peterson was born on May 17, 1972, and was 10 years old at the time of her disappearance on February 19, 1983. Joanne disappeared from an area near her home in Fraser Valley in British Columbia, Canada, after having an argument with her sister. The girls had been out for a walk and their parents weren't home. They had an argument and Joanne started to cry, and her sister ran home and locked her out of the house. Joanne then walked to the penny pincher store that used to be near Vetter and Watson Roads in Sardis. She walked into the store and spoke to the clerk behind the counter before going outside to use the public payphone booth to make a call. Joanne called the operator to try and connect with her parents, and witnesses came forward reporting that they had seen a man inside the booth with her at the time. Joanne did manage to make contact with her mother during that call and asked her mother to come and pick her up. A man suddenly grabbed the receiver and told Joanne's mother that if she wasn't there within a half hour, he was going to call the police. Her mother made it there within 15 to 20 minutes, but Joanne was nowhere in sight. The case quickly went cold despite the best efforts of the RCMP and all the other agencies involved, and despite desperate pleas from Joanne's family for someone to come forward with Joanne or with news of what had happened to her. Her mother, Angela Riley, in a video released by the RCMP on February 19, 2008, 25 years after the disappearance occurred, pleaded with the man who had been with her daughter by saying, "Please come forward. That would relieve me of so much grief. Please come forward. As a mother, I am pleading for you to come forward. Please do that for me." The case remained cold, but a break came 3 years later when a letter dated August 28, 2011 was hand-delivered to Chilliwack RCMP. Corporal Tommy Hollingsworth from the Upper Fraser Valley RCMP said in an interview a month later in September of 2011 that there's certain details, I guess, that only this person would know. Meaning, it had been the man who had been with Joanne when she disappeared who wrote the letter, though none of the contents of it has been released to the public. More conflicting information came when the investigators said that they had been written an anonymous letter that they knew to definitely be from the mysterious man in the dark coat, the man who had last been with a little girl before she disappeared back in 2008, and that they weren't 100% sure that he had written the 2011 letter after all. In 2023, just days before the 40th anniversary of Joanne's disappearance, Chilliwack RCMP announced that they had identified the man who had been in the phone booth with Joanne that fateful night. RCMP released this statement, quote, "Recently, police were able to identify this male and rule him out as a suspect. His identity will not be shared with the public at this time," end quote. Crime reporter John Daly, who's been following the case all along, said that it's perplexing to learn that the police have finally identified the man who was in the booth with the little girl, but that after all these years, they publicly stated that he wasn't a suspect or even a person of interest anymore. He goes on to say, "One can only wonder what they've told him and why it took so long to find him and why he didn't come forward earlier. Or have they discovered who he was, determined who he was, and he's dead? We don't know." Now, there are obviously more questions than answers in this case, more than ever before, but the Chilliwack RCMP say that they haven't ever given up hope that they will find out what happened to little Joanne and that they will never stop investigating this case until they have all the answers. John Daly said, "The police went to the wall to solve this case all those years ago, and it looks like they're prepared to go to the wall again. Anyone with any information into the disappearance of Joanne Marie Peterson should contact Constable P. Neitz from the Chilliwack RCMP Serious Crimes Unit at 604-792-4611, or to remain anonymous, you can call the Crime Stoppers Canada tip line at 1-800-222-8477. And another number you can call with information is that of the British Columbia RCMP at 788-290-3100.
All right, that is Steve Stockton. Tells Untold Missing Person Mysteries. Once again, we appreciate Steve Stockton being a part of the After Hours show here, the After Hours radio show. We're going to go ahead and jump in because this is Friday. This is me filling in for Dave. So we're going to actually do the paranormal report right now. And we have none other than our guest for the night here, Mr. Christian Mloud. Let's go ahead and bring him up to the stage.
Hey, how you doing, Rob? I love that theme music.
Yeah, that is perfectly for you here, Mr. Christian Mloud. Thank you so much for joining me here. As I fill in for Dave Scott tonight, Paranormal Report. How you been?
Man, I've been great. I've been just working as much as I can. How you been?
You know, I've had a couple of weeks off from doing shows, so it kind of feels good to be back to it. And, I had a great conversation with Blondes and Boos earlier tonight here. So, yeah, I'm living the life right now, man. I'm living the life.
Yeah, I caught the tail end of that. That seemed pretty interesting. I think they want you to go investigate with them. That's what I gathered from that.
I'm open to doing that. I've always said that. I have no problem, but I'm just standing in the back. So I got to be the guy that gets, back to tell the story.
Someone's got to tell the story. Right.
Someone has to tell.
Someone has to get out of there.
Exactly. So I know you're a monster hunter. We've talked before. I've interviewed you before. And what I wanted to kind of get into is I'm not really well versed in the cryptid world. As I was telling Blondes and Boos earlier, Krista and Brandi, I'm in the UFO sphere pretty heavy. I know the paranormal is there because I've seen things that are unexplainable as far as that goes, but I have not had cryptid experience or Bigfoot experience. So when we talk about, let's just start with Bigfoot. We talked about Bigfoot earlier tonight. What is your feeling on Bigfoot? Like, what do you feel Bigfoot is?
Well, I personally think he's either a descendant of the Gigantopithecus or he's Nephilim. I'm not one of these guys that are into the woo-woo when it comes to Bigfoot, and I've always thought they're corporeal. I just think they're biologically designed to be able to like disappear in the woods. I think they're just perfectly camouflaged. I think when people see them disappear, that's just look for a tiger in the woods. See how fast that can disappear. Look for a predator. Look for how many times you see bears in the woods that you walk right by something you don't even know it. We did an experiment about 9 years ago where we had one of our guys dressed in a ghillie suit, and we put him 5 feet off the trail. It was 5 feet off the trail. We measured out 5 feet off the trail, and we just told him not to move. And we had, I think, 75, 80 people walk by him. Nobody noticed him.
Wow.
And it's just one of those things where we had everyone, we're just doing this little, we called it Bigfoot 101 back then. And we're just doing this little Bigfoot 101. And all of a sudden, we've got everyone sitting down, and I put a flashlight on, Tiny. And I said, everyone you walk by here and nobody saw this, and you can tell me, if this was a real live Bigfoot, how many would you have seen him? And everyone was shocked because they're like, oh, no, he just got there. He'd been there. We actually had him, we did it a second time, and we actually put a GoPro on his chest because people didn't believe he was there. And we rewinded, and they got to see themselves walk by, and they were staring at him, and no one noticed anything. So I think these particular creatures have the ability just to blend in with their environment. There's I've heard that their hair is actually tubal, kind of like polar bears, and will absorb the light and things like that. I don't know. Rob, I don't know that, man. But you never know. Nature can do anything. But I think they're very much real, corporeal. And then there's part of me that thinks they're left over from the Nephilim. And then that goes to Genesis 6. And I've always been a big believer in that. So it's a debate with me. It's like any different day. Maybe Monday I think something else. And what makes me laugh is I know you're a UFO guy. You'll see my MUFON hat.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm a big MUFON. I'm a big UFO guy myself. So there's even part of me that believes maybe they're extraterrestrial. Maybe but I don't deal in absolutes anymore. I used to be when I was young. I've been doing this for 27 years now. Cryptid and paranormal investigations. And I was younger. I was convinced that was it. This is the one way it is, and there's it. And then as I got older, I'm thinking, okay, maybe there's another way. And then, the older you get, the more open your mind gets. And I'll be honest with you, I don't put anything out of the realm of possibility. I give everything at least a 1% possibility. And that's what I think these things come from. But, if you look at Gary Wayne's book, The Genesis 6 Conspiracy, that guy, you ever want to talk to someone that you really want, if you ever want to feel stupid one day, Rob, just talk to this guy, and you're just going to be sitting there going, This guy spent 30 years writing this book, and he quoted, he's cross-referenced all this biblical. The guy's brilliant. He's brilliant. It's one of the guys I want to interview, or just I just want to hang and have a beer with him, talk to him. But he's just one of these guys. And after I got done reading his book, I'm thinking, well, and that's when I started thinking, well, maybe there's a little more to this Nephilim thing. But it's just, I wish I knew 100%. I really do. But my gut tells me that they're natural and they're from the planet. They're from the earth, and they're real creatures. I just think they're highly intelligent.
Yeah, that's definitely a rabbit hole we can jump down, because I had some thoughts, and actually I haven't talked to you in a while, so this would be good so I can drop these on you. But Bigfoot himself, I know from talking to people and seeing expressions on people's faces that they saw something crazy out there. When we get to the he can't be filmed sort of thing, though, that's where I'm just like, I don't know. And that's kind of where I start asking questions. So I'm going to ask you some of those here as we get ready to go. When we come back from the break, we're going into the break right now, guys. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with the last half hour of the show right here on Spaced Out Radio After Hours Radio Show. We'll see you right back. Once again, if you leave, just make sure you come right back. We'll see you back in 5 minutes.
Are we still live?
We are clear. We are still live on YouTube. Yes.
Good, man. Rob, you look good, man. I haven't seen you in a while. You've been feeling all right? You look good.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I've been feeling actually the last couple of weeks I took off because I was feeling kind of just down, tired. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, yeah, I tell you. I'm a teacher normally, and I took a semester off just because I kept waking up and I felt like I hadn't slept. I wasn't feeling good, wasn't doing much, just got real lethargic, lazy, and I tell you what, it took me a couple months to bounce back to 100%. So, I don't know what it was. I really don't. But, I feel a lot better now. But you look good, man. Your color's back. Like last time I saw you, you were a little like, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. It's it's another tone. I know exactly what you mean, and it's
because when I get real pale, I look like I'm a zombie. So
yeah, it was more like grayish. I know the tone. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. I just been feeling down. So what I've been thinking about doing, because here's what I figured out, and it's crazy that I would even say this, but it's real. I am addicted to YouTube, right? I'm literally addicted to YouTube to the point to where I don't watch regular TV anymore. All I watch is YouTube, but it's because, in this field and when we do these shows, we have to research and we have to watch other YouTube videos. But I find myself locked into YouTube 90% of the time.
I totally get it.
And I got a good.
I start watching those little videos.
Yeah.
And it's like hours go flying by.
So I made it a conscious decision to disconnect from YouTube. Like when I'm not doing shows during the week and all that, just step away. I'm not consuming any YouTube. I'm get out and do some other things because I think that is playing into some of the
that's what my thing was. I wasn't spending enough time outside. I needed some fresh air. I was putting on a lot of weight.
Yeah,
doing it. Exactly. Come home, eat a box of pizza. Drink a couple beers and watch YouTube for an hour, and then and it is just a different because the thing is, you don't want someone knowing more than you. Or, you still want to stay ahead of the situation in the game. And it's like you can't. You just can't because otherwise you're going to spend 12 hours a day just in front of a screen, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been finding myself falling into that, and I just came to the realization, and I was like, dude, I think I'm addicted to YouTube. Like, wow. And I was like, okay, so now I need to step away from it. So that's the goal. That's what I'm trying to do. And what I've done for the last couple of weeks, I didn't do a show last weekend and kind of just decompressing, taking a break. Plus, there's nothing going on in the UFO world, which is, the other thing.
What about that Atlas 31, man? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, see, I want to talk to you about that.
Oh, good. Well, we'll save it for the show then.
Yeah.
We just got done. You remember Christina, my fiance? You spoke to her briefly, like
yeah. I saw her
and we've been working on this. This 31 thing, and I don't even know what to think about it because it's like, what the hell is this thing? Because when you got that guy from MIT was it MIT or Harvard? Yeah, I think
Avi Loeb.
Yeah, one of these guys say, hey, this thing is changing its trajectory. It's changed its course. It's slowing down. It speeds up. That scares the hell out of me because that's the one thing we are not ready. We're not ready to fight that kind of fight. There's no Will Smith and, a great speech waiting in some secret bunker where they've been working on, hybrid alien aircraft to save us. At that point, it doesn't work.
But at least in that movie, wasn't it the president that said, okay, I'm going to take it on the chin for humanity. Yeah. I'm going to go do it. So hopefully we get some of that action here this time. Now,
listen, if there was one guy that was going to say, screw it, I'll do it. I think Trump would do it. I think he'd be in there. He'd probably get himself fitted for a suit, probably prez on it or what. But I don't know if the guy knows how to fly or not. So that's the benefit. I always liked it when we had military leaders in Oval Office because those guys know how to throw down. They'd be like, okay,
that's true. That is true. Yeah, that is true.
I don't know, man. That does scare me. That'll be a good topic because I don't think people are really paying attention to that thing. They're like, oh, it's nothing. It's never nothing.
Yeah, I think they're paying attention to it, but it's just wow. Like we were talking earlier with Brandi Krista, what can you do? Like, if it parks right here, like, what can you even do?
Honestly, between you, Rob, seriously, you know what I do? I have a contingency plan for end of days and things like that. Mine's real simple. I don't want to be one of these survivors. I don't want to be walking around nuclear fallout. I don't want to have to go cruising, looking for water.
Let's stop right there.
Yeah, okay.
Let's start. We're coming back right now.
Cool.
Oh, man. Almost a flawless show. It crashed. Hold on. All right, everybody, welcome back. Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show. We are back on the back half of hour 3, joined by our guest with the Paranormal Report, Mr. Christian Mloud. Getting into some good stuff. Also, we had a conversation earlier with Krista and Brandi from Blondes and Boos. If you missed any of this show tonight, don't worry, it's in our archives. It's absolutely free. You can watch it anytime. YouTube.com/at Spaced Out Radio. As we get back into the conversation. So yes, Christian, during the break, you were bringing up, and good thing to talk about is the three-eye atlas. Okay, it's on its way here. The trajectory is crazy. Avi Loeb said it's coming in from a weird trajectory from outside the solar system, and it's going to pass Jupiter. It's going to, when it actually gets close to the Earth, it'll actually be on the other side of the sun, which they think is really weird.
They're also saying that's not a normal type trajectory.
Right.
Avi guy from, I think he was from Harvard, he said that's not normal. And he goes, most things get pulled in on our side. And like this kind of brings up the old Nibiru and Planet X. Like, this thing could be in a sequential orbit on the opposite side of the sun type deal. And that's something that's very, very strange and unnatural. I as we were talking about earlier, both you and I are UFO guys. And this thing, I'm not going to lie to you. They said, because I was going to be here in November or October.
November.
That scares the bejesus out of me, brother. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. As I was saying to you earlier, the world's not ready for this. We can't get our stuff together, to get along in the Middle East for 3,000 years, let alone, what happens if this thing's nasty or hostile? How's that going to work? I don't know about you, but my lightsaber doesn't cut through anything. It's just a piece of plastic.
No, you're absolutely right. And this is where we hope that some of that black budget money is being spent for planetary defense. That's what I've been hoping this whole time. Like, it's like, okay, work on craft, but please be working on planetary defense, though, because this is something I think we're going to need at some point in the near future.
Well, Trump did start the Space Force in his last administration. And, everyone laughed at it. And they said, when Uncle Joe got into office, he said he was going to cancel it. And he never did. So maybe there is something there. I'm one of these guys. I'm convinced we have technology we can't even fathom. If you just look at our historic timeline, look at the leaps and bounds we've made, say, in the last 100 years. Just look at, not even 100 years. Go from World War II. So you got 1945, where the fastest thing we're flying is a 434 mile an hour Hellcat airplane. And by 1950, we're going Mach 1 with Chuck Yeager and a completely different engine system and a completely different body style. So something happened in there. I think it was Roswell. That's me. But something had to have happened in there because all the technology, look at how fast our technology bopped. I mean, I look at this, my cell phone, this is an older Galaxy. There's more technology in this thing than there was for what they used to send people to the moon.
Exactly.
It baffles me.
Yeah, my whole thing with that is that I'm on the I don't know if we reverse engineered bandwagon. That's kind of where I'm at because of exactly what you said. Just this short amount of time, the Wright brothers took the first flight in the early 1900s. Here we are, a little over 100 years later, and supposedly we're anti-gravitic right now. I think that we have been influenced by the craft that we've retrieved, but I don't know that we reverse engineer. I'm not there yet, only because what proof do we have? Like, do we have that's ever come out that shows that we have anything new, any new propulsion?
I see it now. That's where I get it. I just saw this clip. Trump and Putin were walking on an airbase, and they had the B-1 bomber and like two, F-22 Raptors escorting thing. And, these guys, they're looking at it, and you'd think they'd be like in Marvel. I'm like, wow, look at that thing. Look at the way that thing moves, blah, blah. And they're just kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
So I know if I saw that thing, I'd be out there with my cell phone, take pick. But, they look like they could have been, oh, hey, yeah, that's great. I mean, they weren't impressed. And that makes me think they must have something that they've seen that just for them to be impressed with that, it's got to be 50, 60 years ahead of its time. I always go back to the old Lockheed Martin video on YouTube where the guy that used to run Skunk Works, he was having his retirement. I can't remember. I think his name was Al something. But he was having his retirement. Huh?
Ben Rich?
Yeah, Ben Rich. Thank you. Ben Rich. And you remember, they walk right up to him, and you can tell he had a few. And they said, what's the most advanced thing you got? And he looks, he goes, I want you to think about Star Wars, Star Trek. We're 50 years past that. And when did he say that? He said that in the late 90s?
It was like 92, 93-ish, 94.
So what? And they freaked out when he said all that stuff. I mean, everyone was on. So what do we really have?
See, so here's how I think, because yes, that statement, we have the tech to take ET home, essentially, is what
that's
he said.
Right, exactly. We can take ET home.
Our good friend Jim Goodall was buddies with Ben Rich, and he said Ben Rich said that to him. And when I interviewed Jim, I said, Jim, think about it like this, though, because Jim is also friends with Bob Lazar. Right. So let's see what makes sense. So Bob Lazar has claimed he was at Area 51 or S4 in 1989, worked on these craft. They hadn't figured it out yet. He felt like they bring these things out maybe every 10 years and try something new to see if they could crack the code. We had Lakatsky in 2016 say that they recently just breached the hull of the UFO, got inside of it. So, the thing is that, okay, let's make Bob Lazar make sense along with the Ben Rich statement. So Ben Rich would have been 4 years after Bob Lazar came out and said they hadn't figured it out. However, Ben Rich says we have the tech to take ET home. That can go two different ways. So that we have the tech to take ET home could simply mean we retrieved the tech. And we have,
what, Rob, it could be a Stargate type situation. I mean, we don't know. We look at how much that whole Stargate mythos. It was great in the 90s and in the early 2000s, but then it kind of dissipated. But there was actual archaeological evidence about stuff like that, and you used to be able to find it. Now it's just kind of gone. I mean, I remember seeing the pictures of them excavating the pyramids, interesting things like that. And now with all this new stuff going on in Egypt and they're finally admitting to stuff that they might be, these things possibly could have been, power stations. We can't tell, but they're finally showing what's under them. And it's 2026, or 2025, excuse me. And by the time we even hear anything else about it, they just might cut it off, or we're going to have a visitor land on the White House parking lot and say, hey, we're here. Here's how things are going to go from now on. So, I mean, it's just one of these things, but that's the fascination with, the UFO world, and I always correlate that with the cryptid and the paranormal because I do all of it. And when you get the real good stuff, somehow it's linked in with the other two. I know it sounds weird, but somehow the paranormal and the cryptid stuff, somehow there's always, if you have a good UFO report, somewhere around that area, you're going to have a paranormal report and there's going to be cryptid reports. So that's why I always thought they were all connected. That's why when I did American Cryptid and Paranormal Society, everything was inclusive. I just didn't want to be a ghost guy and I didn't want to be a Bigfoot wacko. I figured I'd put them together and then throw UFOs in there and just, be a real big nutcase.
That makes a lot of sense. And thinking about as you laid that out, that would be actually how you have these paranormal teams, you have a medium, you have all these different people on one team. That would be cool if you had an actual phenomena team that consisted of Bigfoot.
Well, my team's like that now. I mean, that's the way we go in. But the other thing is, we don't charge anyone we've never charged anyone to help them. We'll help them with paranormal or cryptid activity. UFO stuff, I just tell you good luck. There's, we can't help with that. Certain things we can do with the paranormal and certain things we can do in the cryptid field. We can give them some, things to do that'll deter things. But UFO, we had a case where it started out as paranormal and then it went to cryptid. And this is recent. And then where we were on the property, we were checking it out. And I learned years ago, I always carry a Geiger counter with me. I had an experience. We found what I believe was a UFO landing site in the middle of the Appalachians. I'll be more than happy to show you the pictures I've never published because I still think they're cool because we found this 30-foot circle and it was nothing but dead and gray in the middle of this lush green forest. And you could see where something had gone up into the canopy. It was just, you could see where tree had been burnt and all the surrounding greenery had turned to that. That Chernobyl gray you see when they show the trees and stuff in Chernobyl? It's that kind of gray. And it was just a big circle of death. But you could see it looked like something had landed there. And when we started doing the measurements on it, it was 3 rads of radiation. And that's pretty high. When we went to this other property, the current one, the first thing we found was Bigfoot tracks. And the woman had called us originally and said she had a dogman issue. She said she knew it was a dogman because she saw this thing's face. And she said it was either a dogman or a werewolf. She, didn't know what it was. But she started scared the hell out of her because it had to lean down to look at her through the sliding glass doors. And this is something that started over and over again. And then she'd have a problem with Bigfoot. And we found prints for both of them there. So there was both viable there. But then she said the real scary stuff happens, though, when the lights come down. And you don't know what happens because she said as she was moving around, she'd see the lights come down. She'd have memory loss and she's not sure what was going on. And to me, that's got to be UFO. I mean, but again, that to me would probably explain why we had the radiation. And that was in how many places?
3.
That was in 3 different places on the property. And what was really weird is you had a whole family split up on this pretty good sized property. The brother was seeing the dead grandmother in his garage and someone hanging. The lady was having problems with the canid or the dogman, and she said the Bigfoot wasn't really bothering her, but she'd see it every once in a while, and she'd find footprints. And what would happen was it'd knock over the bird bath and take seeds out of the bird feeder. And then she had paranormal events happening because there was a barn that used to be in front of her, and during the Civil War, they had hung a few people there for treason. And then it even gets better because allegedly there's some kind of Confederate gold on the property that was buried right before the Confederacy fell. So it's, the place literally has everything, but it's very interesting because, this is another case where it's just not one thing. It's, 2 things, then it's 3 things, and it's 4 things. But, we found evidence of everything. And that was what was real scary. We haven't been back there yet. What we're going to be doing is when we get the fall, we're going to go back there with the drone and do some aerial because allegedly there was a barn that was built at one specific place on the property, and you can still kind of see the outline of it. And that's where they think the gold is buried. They really want to find out what's in there. And we'll help them. We've got all the equipment for it. That's kind of what we do. But it's just fascinating because it's not just one thing. As I said, it just corresponds in a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, and there was one guy that married the Bigfoot sightings to extraterrestrials. The only thing I've heard that kind of made sense as to why they would be related, and he said something like, what if the Bigfoot were actually out as protectors of the extraterrestrials, so they form a perimeter essentially, while behind the lines extraterrestrial craft have landed and are doing some sort of work, and the Sasquatch are kind of there to kind of keep you away from the activity. I was like, I could see that. I could see where that could make sense. But I haven't really heard any other theories or things that marry these things together as far as them being related. So I don't know. But I did want to get
that's I don't know. That to me, it's a nice, it's a good idea, I guess. But realistically, the big thing, and I think that's going on in the UFO world lately is all the stuff that's underground here on planet Earth. like the reptoids, and we've got 3 different types of reptoids living underground, and all this other stuff. I think that's probably the only thing that I've heard that's remotely recent, with the exception of this Atlas 31. So you never know, man. That's the thing that makes it so interesting.
Circle back to the Atlas, because I know during the break before the break, you were talking about having some sort of contingency plan in case.
My contingency plan is real easy. I'm taking my hot slice. We're going to the highest mountain peak. I got a 30-year-old bottle of scotch, 2 Opus X stogies, and we're just going to watch the end.
Just going to watch it happen. Yeah.
I mean, what do you? I don't want to be one. Like I said earlier, I don't want to be one of those guys that lives after an apocalypse. I don't want to be like scrounging for food and water and beer. I'm sorry. That's just not what I want to do.
Here's the coldest part about that is the word contingency, because the government has something called a continuity of government plan.
Oh yeah, they're going to go underground, man.
And the billionaires, which are currently building all these bunkers everywhere right now, Elon Musk, all these guys are building bunkers. And if the event happens, and it could be extraterrestrial, it could be an asteroid, it could be many things, these guys are going into these bunkers and locking the door, which means you and I and a lot of others, we're kind of just sitting out here, right? Just, hey, let's see what happens to these guys, sort of thing. I think people, and this is what I say, I'm like, because they have that contingency plan, they're making sure they make it to the other side of the event. If you want to make sure you make it to the other side of the event, then maybe you should map out a cave somewhere.
Well, I mean, we live in Appalachia, and the thing is, Rob, the truth of the matter is, it won't matter. It won't matter because we're not going to have the ability to go deep enough and stay down long enough. We don't have the ability to have water recirculators, and we don't have the ability, we don't have the function, we don't have the engineering skills. I'm willing to bet half of these places run on plutonium. We don't have nuclear reactor. Do you have a nuclear reactor you can use? Well, yeah, I'll just bring this. I don't know. Yeah. Sun lamps, all that stuff, the seeds, all that. I mean, you need a government to do that. But what really ticks me off is you're 100% right, because I start thinking about it, it really does piss me off. Because why is it that, all these people should have this ability to not worry, and then the rest of us just, we're nothing? Because it really tells you what the government thinks of its people. When you have a situation like this, then you know what the government thinks of you. Well,
not only that, but you paid for it too.
That's the other thing. I paid for it, and now I'll be the first one to take a bullet in the head trying to get in there, and they'll be like, "No, this isn't yours," and that's what'll happen. They're not going to let people in there. People like me, they're not going to let some regular guy. What do you have to offer? Oh, well, I was a cryptozoologist and blah 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 blah.
Right.
Okay, get out of here. Go back in the woods then, pal. That's what they're going to say to me. There's nothing I bring to the table. And, there's 390 million Americans. What are we going to do? They're going to have continuity Congress, continuity government. So you're going to have the Senate. You're going to have the upper echelon. You're going to have the House of Representatives, the Senate. They'll be fine. They're all going to go somewhere. Uncle Donald, he's got several places he can go. He doesn't care. And they'll start over without us, but you're right. What happens to us? We ended up evolving into those, mutated monsters, like, in the old Time Machine movie. Yeah. The old H.G. Wells.
It's sad because not in continuity of government. And then I've also talked about just the human beings getting out to space. It's going to be the same sort of thing there, where you and I won't be able to afford a ticket on that spaceship that goes to colonize the next planet. We'll be stuck here.
We're too old. Let's be honest, Rob. We're too old for that shit.
Yeah, we're too old.
Pardon my language. We're too old. I mean, I'll be 50. I'm 52. There's no way they're going to grab a 52-year-old guy who's chubby and got high blood pressure with a sick sense of humor. Is going to say, "Oh, okay, this is the guy we want. Let's go have him start a new whole human race. Let's bring him." Okay, yeah, that's a good. That's not going to happen for me. I get it. I get that. The only thing I can say is, look, I can possibly make a still in an emergency situation. There, that's all I can do for you. I can probably get you that might work for someone, but let's be honest, that's not gonna save me anything. I was watching that new Alien TV show they have. You seen that?
Not yet.
I saw the aliens, like I don't know, but like aliens with the mouth that goes hacking.
Alien Earth is what it's called.
It's that. And I was thinking to myself, there's no way that I could run away from something like that, or I'd even go into space for a 63-year sleep trip and then wake up, blah, blah, blah. I just couldn't do it. It's not feasible. Maybe if the next generation could do it, but I don't think they could do that either. Actually, being a teacher, I can tell you right now, I don't trust them to do that. So I just don't see that happening. I just don't. I don't think we could pull it off.
So that's what I'm saying. So with this 3-eye atlas coming, so in the crazy part, and maybe this was a mistake because I was looking online the other day, and it said, I know Avi Loeb came out initially said 0.2% chance that it would be extraterrestrial or intelligence, and then saw a video where it said that he now says 40%. So I don't know if that's true. But
I haven't seen the video, but I didn't hear it was 0.2. I heard the guy said the point blank. He said, and then like he said something a couple months ago, and then he hasn't said anything. But it's that Avi guy from Harvard.
Yeah,
and he said that it changes course, it changes trajectory, and it changes speed. And now we're not hearing any of that.
If it turns out to be intelligent and it parks itself right outside of Earth, do you think it's going to be good or bad?
Bad.
Think it's going to be
Here's
bad.
what, Rob. Here's why I say this, Rob. I hate saying it, and I'm a religious man. I believe in God, and God created the universe. Everything. So aliens are in the universe. If you read the Nicene Creed, it talks about what you see and what you don't see, what you know and what you don't know. It's like pretty much right there if you read it. But here's my thing, Rob, and you're an intelligent guy. Let me ask you this. What the hell do we have to offer the universe?
Nothing. Destruction, right. Chaos.
We're blights. All right. It doesn't matter. I don't care. It's just something in our nature. It doesn't matter. It's not a racial thing. It's not a religious thing. It's not an intelligence thing. There's something in human beings that just makes us stupid. We can't get along with each other. And then you're going to give us the keys to the kingdom. We're going to get warp drive and go to other planets and spread our type of intelligence or what we think is right. I just don't see it, man. I don't see it.
Won't happen. And here's what we'll do, man, because I'm obviously enjoying this conversation, but we have to cut the show short right here. I want to thank you, Christian, for coming on in. Let's do this again soon.
Rob, anytime you need me, man, you got my number.
Okay, I do.
I love I love Spaced Out Radio. So whatever I can do with you guys, I just enjoy it. It's always having fun talking to you because you're always right there because it's just nice to have the ability to talk with someone that knows exactly what you're saying, and there's no beating around the bush. This is what I think, and this is what history has taught us. So I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll call you. We'll set something up. We got to figure it out, and then outside of that, have a great rest of your night. Tell the wife, hey, and you guys have a great rest of your morning. I guess at 2 a.m. out there.
It's 3, but don't worry about it. This is what I'm usually going. But anyway, thanks, Rob. God bless. I appreciate you, man.
Take care. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get ready to get up out of here. It's a fantastic show. Filling in for Dave Scott here tonight. And we are going to get ready to get up out of here. So we want to thank our guests, Krista and Brandi, for being so awesome as they are, for coming in for hours 1 and 2. We also want to thank Christian Mloud, Steve Stockton. We also want to thank the man that we hear right there, Mr. Ron Bumblefithall, because he's the man that gets us in and out of every show, telling us to never say never again, because yes, the phenomena is real, which means anything and everything beneath that is possible. If you enjoyed the show tonight, make sure you show your love. Also throw your horns up. Also, we want to thank our viewers and listeners, whether you're listening on digital platforms or terrestrial radio. We appreciate you tuning your frequency to Spaced Out Radio, where we do what we do best. What's that, you ask? We own the night. Remember, the show's copyright SOR Media Ventures Limited. It's been a pleasure serving you. Once again, as your host, guys, I'm Mr. Rob G. This is the After Hours Radio Show. To all you space travelers out there, don't worry. This is not a goodbye nor a farewell. However, as we go off air for the night, you can best believe we'll be back here doing the same thing, same time, same place. Come and check us out tomorrow, right here on Spaced Out Radio After Hours Radio Show. Much love. Take care.
never, but we say it again and again and again and again. Never say, never say, never say, never again.
All right, we are clear, guys. Clear, guys. Excellent show. I appreciate everybody coming in. Fantastic interaction for the chat here tonight. Also want to make sure we thank our super chatters here. Let's see. A new member, Erica Stover. Thanks for joining the Spaced Out Radio membership team here. We appreciate you. Also, T-Bone, thanks for that awesome super chat. Thanks for your support of the show. Gizmo as well. We do appreciate you. Thanks for showing your love here tonight. Also, Kitty Catty Whack. Rob, thanks for hosting tonight. Brandi and Krista, love your Blondes and Boos channel. And I'm sure they'd be glad to know that. Also, awesome Christian McLeod, man. Got to thank him for coming in and filling in for our hour 3. We'll be back here tomorrow for the actual scheduled After Hours radio show, which we will be having our guest, Rob Shelsky, coming on. We'll be talking about UFOs and aliens, the truth that is stranger than fiction, right? Because the phenomena is real. We all know that. And we'll be jumping into some more awesome conversation tomorrow. So make sure you guys are here for that. I would appreciate that. As we get ready to get up out of here, you know how we do it. We want retribution. That's how we get up out of here. That's how we're going to do it right now. Have a great rest of your night, guys. See you tomorrow. Take care.
Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Yeah, we ran out of patience. Boil up with the